Welcome to the Been There, Done That podcast, where we give our guests the opportunity to talk openly about their career, their ups and downs, and all things in between. You can follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and you can also watch it on YouTube. If you enjoyed the podcast, give us a like and a follow on our social media, which you can find in the link in the show notes. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 17. This week, I was joined by Bea Devlyn, strength and conditioning coach for the Subiaco Lions Women's Football Club, and now Ludus Sport Performance. Bea is also a former AFLW footballer who has had an unfortunate run with injury and is now rehabbing from a stress fracture in a foot. We discussed the balance of coaching and playing, setting expectations on yourself through difficult periods, and also some sports science sprinkled in as well. Bea is also a host of her own podcast called The Buzz with Bea, and the link to that is in the show notes. Thank you for everyone for listening, and I hope you all enjoy the podcast. And we're ready. We're live. Beatrice Devlyn of the Buzz with Bea podcast joining me in the hot seat today. How you doing, mate?
Good, Matt. Thank you very much for having me. This will be a good little fun, kind of like a collab. But
crossover podcast.
Yeah,
how good.
Love it.
I'm
Double
excited
streamed.
too.
Reach everybody.
Alright, so how you been doing? Traveling all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously,
a bit unlucky.
This is not ideal. There are a few other things going on, but that's all right. Generally pretty good.
When did that happen? A couple weeks ago.
So 3 weeks ago now, we're playing Swans.
Oh, shit, that one.
Swan Districts. I think it was 3 weeks ago. Feels like an eternity ago. But 3 weeks ago, we're playing Swannies. So it was like my fourth game back in a row from a hamstring, which is a big tick. I hadn't played that many games in a row for a long time. Last 10 minutes of the game, we were like 1 point down, kicking it inside 50. I just went to kick it, and then one of the Swans girls who I know relatively well and we often play on each other.
Yeah.
She just went to tackle me, and as I kicked it, she stood on my foot and then like fell on my foot. And then like straight away I was like in pain. Like I'm sure we'll touch on it, had a fair few injuries and been in pain quite a few times on a footy field. But this was painful. Like I was grabbing my foot, rolling around. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." Like she's like, "What do you need?" I was like, "To get off the ground."
So straight away.
Yeah, straight away.
The worst thing was probably at the end of the game too.
Yeah, well then, like, because they stopped the clock when I got hurt, right, that they weren't supposed to. So on the time, as soon as that leadable oval, so you know how it counts up?
Yep.
So it still said there was like a minute and a half to go, and then they blew the siren because they'd stopped the clock, but they weren't supposed to. Then they just cut out the minute and a half that it took me to like get off the ground because I couldn't wait for her own thing.
Stretch you off.
Not stretch her, but I got carried off because I like couldn't put any weight through my foot, and I felt kind of bad because the game was live streamed.
Oh, no.
So, like, obviously the people commentating knew who I was, whatever, and everything that I've been through. And then they go back to me while I'm on the floor, and you just say, I'm just like, that looks so bad.
Oh, God.
Whoops. But, I think it was worth the explanation because it was pretty painful. So.
And you were playing for Subiaco Lions?
Yep, Subi Lions, yep.
Are they in the finals?
Doobie. We are, yep. We were third for all of 24 hours, and then Peel decided they'd lose to Claremont, so then we finished fourth again, but.
So was that's no double chance?
No double chance. But, the last 2 years we've pretty much dominated the whole normal season, like finished minor premiers and then kind of choked a little bit in the finals. So maybe this year, because we're kind of going the reverse, finishing fourth, so we got to do it the hard way. Maybe there'll be a bit of luck for us. Maybe. That's what still obviously disappointing I won't be there because I'll still be in this thing. But
no, but you're still a part of the team though.
Yeah, well, I'm a S&C coach at Subi as well, so little silver lining, I suppose. I still get to contribute in some way, shape or form. But
that'd have been a different experience for you this year as well, being a coach of the team as well as a player.
Yeah, it was a bit
more of a coach than a player.
Now I am. Yeah, it was a bit of a juggling act early days. Obviously, when I had AFLW at the time, then so like every night of the week I was at footy. It was either at Subi or at West Coast, or I'd go like leave our Eagles gym, do gym there, then go to Subi. So it was like every night of the week was at footy. Running our pre-season and stuff was pretty cool. Like obviously I've learned a lot from a couple of really good people that have coached me as an athlete, and then to get to implement what they've kind of done for me. And I'm like, okay, cool. I think that works, and implement it on the girls. And I think, touch wood, it's worked pretty well. Like we run out second halves better than any team in the competition at the WAFL. And touch wood, we've only had like one soft tissue injury, and that was because, I won't name names, but somebody did a little bit too much when we were doing like our walk jog kicking. That was probably more the farms, them throwing under the bus here. Probably did a bigger drill than I thought we were going to do, and then had a little minor quad strain, and then was out one night and decided to go down a few steps at probably shouldn't have, but she's all good now. She's back in this week. So only a little one. So I'll take that. That's only one quad strain, and the rest of the injuries we've had have been like bones. So that's kind of out of our control. But fit as a fiddle, so I'm pretty proud of that, and hopefully we can keep building.
That's nice.
3 more weeks to go, I hope.
Fingers crossed. We can't protect everyone.
No,
That's
exactly.
the unfortunate thing with sport, and because it's how many nights of training do you do?
We do 2 main training nights, and then like Mondays like our walk, jog, recovery. But we've had a lot of Saturday games, so we train Wednesday, Friday. So Friday's been basically nothing. So like we'll do warm up and 1 drill, and it's like, okay, maybe 2Ks tops. So then our Wednesdays have to be really big, but because everyone's still kind of sore from the game before, depending on who we played, it's like, well, you got to try and manage that. There's no point trying to get the girls to do a 7K session when they're like, I'm sore, I can't run, because then you're just obviously putting them at high risk of other things. So bit of a juggle, but it's been good fun. It was interesting though when I come back after Eagles and stuff to play, like actually play waffle. So I was like, so I would take warm up, do my extra running before training, so that I could take the extra conditioning that we have to do in training, and then go do drills, and then I have to like write out all what our rehabbers are doing and explain it to like an absolute T to a couple of people I had helping out, or I'd be like racing, I would be like checking on people mid drills, and
oh goodness,
that was a bit hectic, but again, good learning opportunity.
You got a feeling of what the old player coach would have been like.
Exactly like that. Luckily, Floody, one of our assistant coaches, did rotations on game day, because I was like, there's no way I can run rotations and play. Like that's going to be a mission.
Can you imagine?
Impossible.
Yeah. That would actually be, you actually wouldn't be able to do it.
No, like maybe run my own rotation, but then I'd just be like, I can play out the whole
I would even be sure that you'd be able to do it yourself, because you tell guys you need to come off at the 4th minute mark, and it's like they come off at 2 minutes away. Don't come off at all.
Yep. That's my biggest pet peeve, when the runner goes out to people, like, yeah, cool, got the message, come off. I get sometimes but
sure.
Then you watch them just like plod along right near the boundary line, and you're like,
right across,
get off the ground. Or they're like, I'm really tired, I need to come off earlier. I'm like, well, I saw the runner come out to you about 5 minutes ago. It's not my fault you didn't come off the ground. Like,
or some people as well, they're a little bit deaf. Like, they're not deaf, but because they get so caught up.
Yeah, so caught up in the game they don't realise.
Or they respond to it, but they forget.
Yep.
It's part of it.
That happened to me once. Somebody's like, when I was on the bench, they're like, B, can you go tell, like when you get out on the ground, can you go tell all the backies this message? I got onto the ground. I totally forgot to say it. And then it got to like quarter time. And they're like, did you get this message? And I was like,
no.
Oops.
Oh, God. Yeah, the coach gives everyone a spray. You should have gotten this message. And everyone said, no.
We never got it. And I was like,
God. Instant red face.
Yeah. I just wanted to go hide in the corner that second, and I went up to the coach. I was like, I'm sorry, I forgot.
So how does it matter? You have 2 trainings, and do you do gym strength sessions?
No, so we don't get to do anything at Subi because we're not allowed to train at Leaderville. So we don't get access to the gym. We do like Nordics, and in pre-season we're doing Nordics and calf raises post-main training. There was a couple of weeks in the pre-season where we got access to the gym, so we did a bit, but like 4 weeks, once a week isn't really going to cover you for the rest of the season. So I write gym programs for a couple of the girls, but it's pretty hard to manage. It would be like if we actually had access to even just like a bench or like some sort of gym equipment, we could probably do a little bit more, but we get nothing. So just two footy training sessions, your walk, jog, recovery session, and then game on the weekend.
What kind of strategies do you have in place? Do you do like isometrics, or do you have like an extensive warm-up where you cover sprints and you've got that ticked off? And
yeah, so we do like go through just general mobility, range of motion stuff. That's something I'm really big on. Obviously, from what I've been through as an athlete and being injured, I think warm-up's probably the most important thing that you can do. So big emphasis on that. Then we do a heap of jumping, landing, but mix it up so it's not always the same. So we'll do like double leg takeoffs, single leg takeoffs, medial lateral bounds, that sort of stuff. Jumps with a shove, landings and things like that as well. Then a bit of change of direction. So usually just like kind of aggressive kind of S kind of runs, or your cuts on a 45, because we don't get an awful lot of time to do it. So try and practically do it as fast as you can. And then, we do a fair few ISOs, particularly some of the girls that have been in like the AFL system that I know that that's what they need to be doing. So probably do them more pre-training before we get to anything. We used to do a heap of glute activation in pre-season. So we had like a mini kind of circuit set up there, but obviously as we move into in-season, it's a bit harder for people, getting from work and stuff like that. So that kind of slowly died down. Like in an ideal world, it wouldn't have, but just with the time and like me personally having to do my own stuff as well. pre-training before I got injured. Was a bit of a juggle, but yeah, heap of change of direction, heap of jumping, landing, and then just sprint. So we usually do like a 5-meter accels and a 10-meter accel, and then like a full 20 to mix it up. And then in season, once a week, we always do we usually do like one set of 5, like just 50-meter sprints, just to say, like, at least be like, okay, you've been exposed to high speed, to that as a protective mechanism, as I'm sure you're probably aware of, to make sure the girls have done that. And then sometimes I flip that up and change it into like a ground ball, kind of sprint out to the ground ball, do a couple, so you get that football element in there as well, because obviously the girls don't really, unlike me, I love running, but not everyone is like that. So I've got to try and keep it interesting, short and sharp, or if we need to do extra loading, we usually do. Well, I love MAS. I'm a big fan of that. So that's something that we've used a fair bit as well.
So you do the MAS, you start off with the 2K.
Yeah.
Is that you test everyone?
Yeah, we do 2K. I would love to do a yo-yo, but I just think practically, like at WAFL, we don't have a lot of equipment. It would then require a lot of setting up. And some of the girls don't obviously like running, so explaining it would be a bit of a pain in the bum as well. So whereas a 2K, just literally like a couple laps around the oval, happy days, convert all your meters per second and stuff like that to get your score, and then break it down. So obviously you got your longer MAS, 150s or something like that, and then break it down. I usually base it off time and then go from there.
Sure.
So
have you done you obviously might have heard of the 30-15? Yep. Have you done that test before?
I have done it. Like we did it at uni last year. Yeah. But I've never implemented it. I know Ryan, when he was at SC coach at Freo, we did it then. Yeah. It worked pretty well. Like I enjoy doing it, and it definitely transfers across really well. But again, like, you need either a heap of cones or all those poles and stuff to set up. And I remember when we did it at Freo, so many girls got confused. So just imagine what it would be like. Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, the beep test. It's like, there's more than the beep test. Like, yo-yo, 30-15, like.
I did it. We implemented it this year, a part of because one of our biggest things going into the season was like our fitness and all that. So we had we did the 2K test, and then so one of our training sessions was like aerobic session, like an MAS type session, and then our second session was a 30-15 base intermittent sort of.
I would love to do both, hey, because then you can compare across, because obviously they measure different things. Like the yo-yo is just one big continuous test, whereas 30-15 is probably a lot more specific. Well, it is a lot more specific to footy, a lot like the yo-yo, like stop start, longer durations, higher speed kind of thing. Whereas obviously 2K is just that continuous run.
I have to go back and look at the data again, because the fittest guys still finished at the top.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's always going to be the case, right?
There's a few of the bigger boys, like there's a few of our guys who are like a big hit backs who are generally pretty fit, but that yo-yo killed them because it's just the constant direction. The deceleration just got them. They were just saying all their quads were so sore because of deceleration aspect. But yeah, I thought it was a really good implementation. Like it just worked well. The guys kind of bought into it a bit, but that, again, you said the hardest part is explaining it. So I got like a big whiteboard out, and the app, you actually down on the app and you put it through the big speaker, and they give an instruction, and it's the guy who's giving the instruction is it has a different accent.
Like weird American accents.
No, I think he has a French, he's a German accent, and then it's the guy who's doing it. The actual test is French. That's a French accent. So it's real weird. And the boys are like, what's this accent?
And then they worry more about that than what's actually going on.
So there's different guys who like can hear things and understand it, but there's guys who like see it visually. So I had a big whiteboard, and I was just like going over how like had it all set up on the whiteboard. And the guy was like, side of line A, and I point to line A. Go run to line C. Like all this sort of. So I was like, the guys are just having a good laugh. But it goes so slow at the beginning anyway. So the guys,
you can kind of work it out in the first
couple. The test doesn't really start until like number to 14K now. I'm probably not even then for some guys. We had a couple of guys get to 22.
It's pretty good.
22, which is like flying. I think one of the guys from the Giants got to 21, which is insane.
That's pretty good.
But yeah.
Do you guys, when you've done the yo-yo, do you use the level 2 or the level 1?
I've never done the yo-yo. I want to do the 30-15.
I just want to I mean, I know obviously level 2 is faster.
Yeah.
And I've never done it because they're like, oh, girls can't go that fast. I'm like, well, hold up. But I would love to see.
I think it starts faster.
It starts faster, I'm pretty sure. Would love to see the transfer across, because I don't really know many people that have done it. Like, do you know, does an AFL combine do level 1 or level 2?
For women?
Yeah, for men.
For men, I think it's level 2. Don't quote me on that, though.
Heard it here first.
You didn't hear it here first.
Have you guys ever done like a change of direction assessment?
Nah. No time for that.
Yeah. I mean,
can they play football?
Well.
Yeah. there's fewer guys who probably need to be a little bit better, but a lot of that comes from strength as well.
That's very true. Yeah.
But doing that 30-15 sort of work as well, even when we do our fitness drills, I do up backs and sometimes we go up back, up again, 3 different changes, and more or less it's more repetition based, so they do get used to it. Or they can figure it out themselves if they need to change fast or have to slow down a bit quicker. And then over different, the only bad thing about training in summer is a lot of the time was hot and dry.
Yep.
You don't get a lot of difference. Even at nights, it doesn't get dewy.
No,
so
it's just humid.
But even like last night, it's so dewy. Even the grounds now in winter, it's so dewy. It's really hard to practice that in the pre-season phase.
Yeah, 100%. Because unless you're going to spray the grass with water, but then it just dries up anyway.
You might get lucky every now and again, but even then, 30-15, I'm really good at that. 2K. Then we just I put it in a nice big spreadsheet, break it up over both of them, and then different days, different categorize them into different different time zones and work that way. And then sometimes I'll adjust, like if we do a standing start, like if we adjust the times and depends on how many change of directions, you allow an extra 3.3 of a second, so you might have to take a little bit of distance off and to allow for that decel.
Do you guys always do extra running? So particularly in pre-season, like say they've done a big footy training session, you always do extra running?
Yeah, so usually I'll have set out the whole phase, 4-week phase or whatever. Then I'll send it to Bill, and then Bill kind of work out how many. So I would say I want about 3Ks of
footy
conditioning. 3Ks of conditioning.
Yep.
And then it's so it's a 7K session, 3Ks conditioning,
the rest
and then
is what you want.
And then he does 5Ks of footy.
I agree. I think that's probably the most important part, because you can do a 7K footy session, but then it's like, okay, where do you actually, like, yes, you tick your box of the Ks, but you don't actually build on that capacity, which is why you do the extra running, right? To get fitter, build capacity. That's something I'm big on, and probably frustrated me a little bit. Not that I was in pre-season at West Coast because I was injured, but we never did extra running. And then I was like,
really?
No, never. Because not really my bother anymore. Like the SSC coach that we had was like, oh, no, like we did the Ks in footy. And I was like, how do we get fitter then? Like, yes, okay, we're going to have done enough to play footy, but haven't done enough to win games or run out games and just be fitter generally, because that's what you need to do, right? Build on that capacity so that the game is then easier because you've done all this extra running, but all we ever did was like game. And I was like,
For those small-sided games?
Occasionally, but never once did we do extra conditioning post the training session.
So we have
not even like a fartlek or anything ever.
Interesting. We've done pre-seasons. We do we play AFL9s
That's
a lot of time, but we vary, like it's early on, it's like in a small confined space and like different rules. And then as it opens up, we use 3/4 of the ground and do different sort of stuff. So then they're allowed to kick and all that sort of stuff. You got handball games and that sort of stuff. It's just the hard thing that we've always tried to kind of work out or try to figure out a way is time. Like you're going to go
effectiveness.
If it's like 10, we've got to do a 10-minute block. What we're going to do, and then you got guys who actually don't do a lot. Like you can have guys who kind of, not that they're lazy or they can kind of get around not doing a lot, you know?
They just don't do probably enough.
Yeah, and there's, you probably have guys who do more.
Yep.
And then that's a balance you got to work out. And then you might have you might have a number set where you're going to have guys on the bench and they're going to, those guys, what's their time?
Sitting there,
There's a lot
do you guys get GPSEs for it?
Yeah, we do. We got about 12.
Okay, that's pretty fair spread.
Yeah.
Decent.
But then,
but then who do you decide who you pick to put them on?
Yeah.
You just want them all your fit guys because, cool, look at their numbers. And it's like, well, what about the not so fit people? And then.
That's the thing. Yeah. And then we might play like full ground drills or something like that. And then in training, do you map it so that when they have their rest, it's they coming off and they put them on like interchange so their data doesn't get counted as a session, or because there's so much happens, you kind of let it go, but then their meters a minute for the session is down. Whereas so it might be the session might say 100 meters a minute, but actually the time of training would have been higher.
Yep. I suppose that's the beauty of live GPS, right? It's a luxury that it was nice to have at AFL level, and then obviously when you go back to WAFL, we don't even get GPSs at WAFLW. Like, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's a pain.
Because it'd be really good to have a look at the differences between.
Yeah,
that's been the biggest thing when I was over in Adelaide. We'd always look at the difference between I was looking at the junior like our COPS level to our senior group, and then I was trying to have a look because you can, like in the AFL app, they have their GPS metrics. You can have a look at them there. So I was comparing what our guys were doing to like just like total
have an
pace and high
understanding.
speed. Just to kind of have a look at the comparison and to see differences, and because even Adelaide as well, grounds are more congested, so you don't run as much. Or you do run as much, but you don't cover as high speed. Yeah, because you don't have the room.
Sluggy and that's like same with our youth girls. Like obviously we use like most people have a watch on, so we use Zabbas, which are not very accurate. And it's like, well, if our youth girls want to go out and play league, obviously they train differently, so they often only do like 3K sessions. It's like, no wonder they blow up when they get to league or AFL level because they've just never been exposed to it, to that sort of Ks.
Do you find youth girls, it's a bit of a trap, not a trap, but it's more hard for them to kind of realise the next step up? Like it's youth girls is almost considered a amateur kind of grade. Yeah. And then when they do step up to the WAFLW, it's a bit more of a higher expectation.
100%. Like it's supposed to be like Colts, and I suppose they kind of chop and change the rules. So when I went through youthies, it was not too bad because you kind of had to stay in youthies like until you were like, 18, I think it was, or if you were in a certain state league. But now it's a bit more flexible. Like they're a bit more lenient on when you can move up or whatnot. So I think that for one's kind of not ruined the standard, but it's probably lowered the standard a little bit because they're just like, as soon as you get to like some age and you're in a state program, they're bang, up to league. And I was like, okay, I get it. But at some point you still have to, play against people your own age to just mature and develop at that rate instead of being thrown to the wolves and playing league footy against potential girls that play AFL who are bigger bodied and stuff like that. And it's like, well, no wonder they break down there. But yeah, I think because there's still like that fine line because they're kids, it's like, how hard do we push them? And then I think some clubs maybe take it too easy and then they don't push them enough, and then they go to state programs and break down, or they go to AFL level and are like, oh, what's a gym?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're starting from scratch. And you got no time at AFL level. Literally, like preseason is over like this, and then you're playing games, and it's like, oh, why do our young kids break down? It's like, well, unless they were exposed to a really good program at youth girls level, which not a lot of them are, which is no one's fault. There's just no resources. So I think that's where I think people at be it Footy Commission or AFL need to be like, oh, okay, we actually need to put money into women's football because otherwise these girls are going to move up. They'll get to like off talent alone, they'll get there and hard work. But it's like if you want them to be strong enough before they even get to AFL level so then they can get better or waffle level even, you actually have to put some time and money into them. Otherwise it's not going to happen.
It was interesting. You're going on about they should stay and play in the youthies, and I was in my head. I was like, I'm not sure because
for a certain amount of time, I think.
But then as well because you go, you said at the end it's because they're not strong enough and haven't developed their bodies enough, and that's come back to the whole like with
was like the draft age with boys. Hey,
we go like we've had a bit of a similar kind of thing with our cops, but they have the backing of like an actual good strength and conditioning program. That's the bodies. They've been doing like running and strength since like future levels, so they can come up and kind of get integrated into a program and kind of
I think that's
work through that.
Where women's footy probably has a flaw. Like if you're really, really good at youthies, so you're in your state program. I mean, when I went through the state program, we were lucky, but like we still didn't gym ever. Like all of us gymmed off our own bat. Well, I did anyway. I don't know about everyone else, but nowadays at least I have access to a gym, but that's only like 2 or 3 in each team. Like that's not really. What about the rest of them? Do you just say goodbye and they go play ammos? Like surely you want to build up the pathway so that you have a good flow coming through because not everyone's going to play league or not everyone's then going to get drafted. So somebody has to fill in the rest of the space. You can't just treat 2 or 3 with the resources that they need. And even then the state program doesn't get enough access to what they probably need to get the girls better. We're just getting better, but it's probably still like 2-3 years behind even what Victoria do.
Yeah.
So I think if you want girls to be able to play good league footy and then play good AFL footy, you have to help them when they're 15, 16. Like, I think we've spoken about it before, that long-term athletic development. You can't just start lifting when you're 18. Like, that's too late.
Yep.
Or you can't start teaching someone how to move then because then you've got 18 years of bad moving to try and undo.
Yeah.
No, there's not enough hours in the day to fix that. And none of us get paid enough to fix that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
you were saying you went off and did your own strength and conditioning off your own bat. Was that because it was like as an interest of yours?
Yeah, so as I'm sure most people that know me would be aware, I love training. Like, training's always been fun. I've always been a pretty good runner as a kid, so I used to always just do extra running. Then as I moved up into the state, like 16s, 18s programs, got exposed. So that's where I first met Ryan. So that's when I first kind of learned like what strength and conditioning kind of was. And then I was like, oh, this sports science thing sounds kind of cool. So I was like, if that's what I want to do, then I probably need to gym. So when I first started lifting, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I obviously did phys ed studies at high school and stuff like that, but you don't really learn much there. But I just kind of was like, okay, if I do this many like we basically learned like hypertrophy and strength. And I was like, okay, this hypertrophy thing sounds cool. And then obviously when I got into first year uni, learn a bit more about it then. So then I kind of had a better understanding. And then by that time I was in the like Frio system at the AFL. So Ryan was helping me a lot there. So I was like, oh, but before that I literally would just lift stuff. Technique wise was probably pretty bad because I didn't really know what I was doing. But yeah, it was just off my own bat. I was like, oh, if I lift this stuff, I'll get stronger. And it was purely out of like, you know, I always kind of strive to be the best that I can. And I was like, well, pretty like a skinny little kid. And I was like, well, I'm not going to last very long playing against these big girls. If, you know, I might be able to run away from them, but if they tackle me, you'll be digging me out of the grass. So, you know.
What do you think the difference is between you when you decide to pick up that the strength conditioning or go in to do your own lifting and get better that way, and the girls who don't? Because surely they must be able to see the difference between, well, these girls are big, I need to do something about it, or they just don't. They don't.
I think it's a mindset thing. Like I've always strived. That was good English. Strive to be the best that I could be, whether that was at footy or at school, whatever. So I've always done extras, and potentially it's probably bit me in the bum a little bit in terms of a couple of overuse injuries earlier on when I was like 18, 19. But that was just me trying to get better, and I probably didn't quite understand that less isn't always more or more isn't always better. Like, you know, so that took me a little bit to learn. But I think, for me personally, it was just a mindset thing. I was like, no, I want to get better. I'm pretty sure this is the kind of stuff I had to do. And I started to have some people around me that were like, hey, you should probably do this. Whereas I think some girls just kind of go, oh, no, like I'll make it on talent alone, which then obviously catches up to them eventually. And like watching some of those girls that I've played with then fall out, it's kind of sad because like, you had all the skills, you just didn't want to take the advice, I suppose, or, you know, work that extra, you know, hour in the gym or do that extra bit of running. Like, where's that? People probably often had to tell me to stop doing the extra stuff. One of our old S&C Eagles, Liv, used to always be like, no, you can't do extra running, B. Like, you've already done enough. And I'm like, why? I want to get better. She's like, because you get hurt. But that was, again, just a care thing. And I was like, needed to rein me in more than like push me to do more. But yeah, I just love it. So I think that's what it comes down to. The love of getting better. Like, I love working hard to get better to then hopefully play better footy was the goal.
Were you one who was always doing extra stuff without telling the coach? Or were you going, like the days off, you're doing sprints? And
No, I never did that sort of stuff. It was just more like, hey, can I do an extra running session after? Can we run more? Or can I do this in the gym, like sled stuff or something like that? Okay. They'd be like, no, you don't need to. I suppose the only extra stuff I probably really do now is just extra uppers because they're fun. Or I do like prehabby kind of stuff because like I know that's kind of the stuff I need to do. But no, I don't think I ever did stuff where people didn't know I was doing it.
Yeah, right.
Or I'd kind of be like, oh, I ran this far today. And they'd be like, so I always knew. But like, I suppose as I moved up higher, like into the AFL level, I never did.
Get away with it.
Yeah. So I never did more than I was supposed to, if that makes sense. I just always did extra off leg stuff, which doesn't really take the same amount of load. But yeah, probably when I was in just playing waffle, like as a 17, 18-year-old, I might have just like, keep on the download, don't tell anyone. But yeah, definitely once I moved higher up, never challenged the system too much.
Yeah, I think it's important though to push the limits of your physical capability.
Right? You never know otherwise.
Yeah. It's important just to kind of test where you are. If you're that way inclined, I guess.
Yeah.
There'd be people who do have the talent and don't know what it's like.
I don't know what it's like, and I think that's a shame, but that happens in every sport, every team. There's always people like that. Like, I'm sure you've probably coached boys at footy and you're like, oh, they just gave a little bit more or just asked you the right sort of questions so you could push them in the right direction. I think, you know.
I think they do. I think it clicks sometimes if they do get drafted and then they do have kind of a turning point.
Bulb,
where they kind of realise they're not the top, they're back at the bottom again. They kind of have to work, which is an interesting kind of perspective on them, on a mindset like someone like that too. You know, if you're at the top, in like a Colts or under 18s level, and then you go to AFL system and you're aware enough to realize that you're not that good.
Yeah.
Then you have to work, and it's an interesting kind of mindset, and becoming, I think, pretty good. Like someone like Jack Graham, who I work with, was at North Adelaide. His skin folds were terrible at under 18s, and he used to have he has to eat a meat pie with, I think it was salt and vinegar. He used to put salt and vinegar chip, take the top off.
Pre-game.
No, not pre-game, just for recess or for lunch or something like that.
Still.
And we're like, mate, just get off that shit. But then obviously now one of the premier talents in Richmond, we're probably touted to be the next captain. So
it's interesting how it works, hey? Fear of failure. I think that was my biggest issue. I didn't want to fail. So I was like, oh, well, if I work hard, I won't fail.
Yeah.
I hope that was my mindset at the time anyway, which probably, again, wasn't ideal because then probably led me to some not so great places. But, you got to learn. But
it wasn't a paralyzing fear of failure.
Well, I suppose in some parts of my life it was. Like I used to get really silly about what I would and wouldn't eat, like to a point where I'd go out to dinner with people and be like, oh, I just can't eat that. So I just get a salad all the time. And it was kind of,
really?
Looking back now, I was like, that was really you still have to live your life. And I probably went too far to a point where I was like, nope, not doing this, can't go out, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not really living. And this was when I was 19, 20. And I was like, okay,
wow.
I still have to. And I was like, this is not going to take away from training. But I was like, I probably have to stop being so regimented and actually live a little bit, which is something I probably started doing last year during COVID, had some other stuff going on. I was like, okay, I can't keep living this life where I'm like, nope, this, and then missing out on other things. So, but that was a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah. It's part of being an athlete.
Right. Yeah. Life smacked me in the face a little bit, but it helped.
The fear of failure, does it drive you to get drives you out of bed? Does it? Or does it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, definitely. That's why, at least when I had to work early in the morning, I'd get up early, go to the gym before uni and stuff like that. Or then in the AFL system, it was, that fear of not being good enough. So that's why I probably work as hard as I do, because I'm like, I know, well, it can end like it does.
Yes.
Training as hard as I didn't actually prevent that in the end. But
it's funny, isn't it?
You don't know that. But, I know in myself that I did everything I could to get the best out of myself. Obviously, my body let me down a little bit, but that was through no fault of effort. But yeah, it was definitely that a fear of being like, oh, I don't want to not be good enough, so I have to do all this extra stuff. And I wasn't afraid to ask questions on how I could get better, which hopefully most people would agree with. I'm happy for people to tell me what I need to do to get better because I want to be better. And again, that fear of not being good enough was what's driven that probably for at least the last 6-7 years. So
yeah, right. So all the way.
Yeah, I think so. Probably since I finished under 18s, when I was kind of like, okay, I'm good at this level, but I was like, and I've worked hard to get to this level and be good at that level. But I was like, oh, now I got to play with adults, at the time, and fully grown women who've been doing this a long time. So I was like, oh, well, I want to prove to everyone that I'm good enough, which is probably, something else that's kind of driven me. I just wanted to be good enough for myself, but then for other people. And then I suppose the last year or so, I'm like, okay, those other people will know either way. That won't define me, whether I'm good enough for those people, which is something I used to get stuck on and internally still struggle a lot with now, being like, well, I have to prove to so-and-so that I'm worth this, or if they've helped me, I'm like, oh, I don't want to let them down. Whereas had a few conversations recently, it's like the people that care about you won't care if you whatever happens, whatever the outcome is, they'll just appreciate the journey, so to speak, which is something that I've always struggled with because I'm like, oh, so outcome driven. And it's like, well, end of the day, I've still learned a lot, even though the outcome probably didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. And the people that have helped me are probably some of my best friends now, and couldn't have got where I've gotten without them. But yeah, so much of it was, oh, I don't want to let them down. And people are like, who are you letting down? I was like, I don't know. Silly. Well, it seems silly now, but I suppose at the time, was why.
Is it a does it fit that fear? Is it a burden? Do you feel like it's almost?
I feel like at times it was. Yeah, definitely. And I think it then played in my mindset and confidence a little bit when I was at AFL level. Worked so hard to get there, and I know I'm really good at WAFL level, but it's just that next step that I was so worried about, being good enough for people, that it probably then actually restricted my output a little bit, on the field. Obviously, it's pretty hard when you're injured to do that, but yeah, I've probably learned that a lot through with my knee and stuff. And then some things that happened last year, I was like, oh, okay, can't keep doing this. And it's like a conversation I had with Ryan in that a little while ago, because obviously stuff with the Eagles kind of finished up, and I was like really disappointed that I'd let people that helped me along the way down. And he was like, you haven't let anyone down, and anyone that would think that wasn't really trying to help you anyway. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a good way to think about it. So,
well, it's also interesting way that you thought the other way. Like you thought that you were letting other people down, you know?
And that seems silly to me, because I've kind of, up till even probably like last week, that was something I was struggling with, but I think I've had a good long think about it internally. I'm like, okay, those people would have helped me anyway because they cared. So, but yeah, it's a little internal conflict, but I think looking back now, I'm like, okay, like, would have been good if I could have realized that maybe a little bit earlier, but we're here now. So,
you think that's a little bit of like a selflessness thing? Like you're right about other people
rather
than really
so.
yourself?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe a little bit of like not self-protection, but a little bit of self-doubt probably as well. A bit, because obviously I think lots of people would probably say that, particularly as female athletes, like, all your body image stuff and expectation and things like that. So I think that internally was my problem. And then like I just wanted other people to come along the journey with me. But then the more people that I brought along, I was like, oh, that's more people I'm going to let down if something doesn't go right. But yeah, looking back now, I'm like, I haven't let anyone down, hopefully. But I know like the people that I'm really close to, and hopefully they know how much I appreciate what they've helped me with. I'm like, okay, they would have helped me, and they would have known the potential of what would have happened. It doesn't work out for everybody, so and all those people would know that.
For sure, all those people would have had times in their life where they
had exactly
experienced similar things, and we'd like to think that most people are understanding towards that fact.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
They follow you because of what you do, and they like you because they like you, not because
you're a footballer.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So
and you can't really let that dictate everything.
No, and I think that's what I used to do. But I'm a footballer, and I was like, no. And people are like, "There's more to you than that." I'm like, "Oh yeah," which I already knew, but deep down, I was like, "No, I just want to play footy." And I was like, "Okay." And now I kind of point like, "There's more to life than footy."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And football, as much as it's taken a few things away from me, it's probably given me a lot as well. And I'm like, okay, appreciate that, but then it's like you can't just be Beatrice the footballer, like which I can't. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, that doesn't define me anymore. I don't think, or I hope not.
Do you pick up other things? Like, have you picked up other things now outside of food? Like, you do other things that are not just football related?
Yeah, well, I try
or coaching.
to. Yeah, but everything seems to be tied back to footy. But
yeah,
I think for me now, it's like it's not just about like me pursuing me playing footy. And now I'm definitely like, okay, I've had some not so great things happen to me in the footy space, particularly the last like 10 months or so. I'm like, okay, make sure that doesn't happen to any of my athletes that I'm coaching, and ensure that they have the best sort of support and care around them so that they don't have to go through the stuff that I went through. So again, painful lesson for me, but good in a way that I can then share that with other people, I think.
You're sitting in a unique kind of experience because you're kind of giving back your own experiences to the athletes you coach as well.
Yeah, which I think is quite cool, and hopefully it helps them. But for me personally, I'm like, okay, I just don't want to see anyone else have to go through some of the stuff that I had to go through, or if I can avoid, people rupturing the ACL, which was no one's fault. Like my leg just decided it wouldn't cooperate. But I'm like, okay, I want to try and minimize this as much as possible for other people, or I want people to be as fit as possible. Not because I love running, because I know how much it can then help your game. Yeah. So I think that's hopefully what I'm striving to be, so I can be a relatively good coach, which hopefully I am. And the rest will fall into place, I suppose.
I think I had a bit of a similar experience as well over the whole COVID break.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't coach for like 6 months or more, almost about 5 months.
Yeah.
And you're sitting at home going, well, I can't do what I love. I can't work out. I can't lift my weights. I can't coach because the gyms are shut.
Yeah. And I was like, what else can I do?
And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm bored. Like, there's like nothing to do. And then you kind of puts things into perspective, and there's other things out there that doesn't, I'm not just a guy who lifts weights. I'm not just a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a brother and
a partner.
Brother and a partner. I'm a son.
Dog walker.
Yeah, go for a dog. Yeah, take the dog for a walk. Go play fetch.
Yep.
Read.
I did a lot of reading. Journaling, something that I found really helpful.
Yes. I saw you bought the inner game journal?
Yeah,
is that
game
correct?
journal. Yeah.
Stephen Moore.
Yep.
Is that correct?
That was pretty cool.
And he's the next St. Michael's College alumni.
Really?
Fellow, yeah. I think he was a year below or 2 years below me. High school, yeah. There you go. Shout out to Stephen.
Mates rates,
Nah. Not at all. But yeah, he went and he played out of Brisbane, then he went
it was Adelaide United now, I think. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that was pretty cool. I like I'm big on journaling, and I think what he's trying to do is really cool because it just brings back that awareness to not just your game, and it goes through stuff about like just you personally. Talks a lot about what's that word? Not growth. What's the other one? Have you read the Resilience Project? It talks about a lot there.
No, I don't. No, I don't really.
What is the word? I can't remember.
That's all right.
Anyway, but it just talks a lot about like things that you appreciated during the day and things that you did well, and then what potential you can work on for the next. Grateful. That's the word I'm trying to think. Yeah, so you talk about things that you're grateful for instead of just being like, oh, I did this. It's like, okay, what did you find really valuable from what you did today? Or what's something that really meant a lot to you? And then what can you do the next day to build on that? So,
is that tied back to the sport, or is that just life in general?
Yeah, life and sport in general. So I think that's what I found really good about it. And you obviously would do it every day. And then there was like end of the week kind of reflection. So you'd mark like how your relationships were going, how your family life was going, how your work life. So it wasn't just sport as well. So I thought that was really cool. And then you could write like little notes on your week to yourself and whether you achieved what you wanted to achieve in all aspects, not just sport. And then there was also a little bit like post-training or post-game that you could then fill out to review for yourself, not on an outcome base, but like just how you obviously felt yourself. So I thought it was really cool.
That's interesting. I do something similar. Like I just have my little notebook, and when I go to my Muay Thai trainings, I write down, well, what I need to focus on. And did I get caught out like in sparring? Was there something that, but I have a shitty guard, like you probably see my nose bends the other way. Sorry, Mum, but
well.
That's what happens. Anyway, I was just like, we write down specific combos, stuff that worked for me, stuff that I probably let down or let go. Like my guard was shitty or my fitness was down. Like by the last 15 minutes of the sparring, I was fucked. And then my arms were dead. I couldn't keep my arm, like, that sort of stuff.
But just little things you're like, okay, I can work on this and then.
But it's interesting how he has the stuff.
And write it and let it go.
The day, like the whole actual your life, and then the end of the week's about relationships. And
I thought it was
tying
really
it
cool.
all back, because essentially if your life's happy or you've got that in order, then everything kind of falls into place after that. Like,
100%.
Because people try to, I feel like people try to chase like work, like if you have a good work balance, like you're working, ticking things off at work, but like how much of that work is taken away from your life?
Your life, 100% agree.
That's not just football. Like, you know, if you're playing a good footy, you might not be everything the same.
Exactly.
Life,
Yeah. And I think that's one of the old cliches that I absolutely hate, when people be like, come into the footy club and leave all your other stuff at the door. It's like, we're humans. It doesn't work like that. Like,
yeah, I feel like that it's changed. Like it would have used to been like that, because that was the time that they were living in, where, we live in a time now with social media and all this. There's so much going on in so little time. Like you get instant updates, like, within a second, and it's constantly weighing you down. But back in the day where you weren't receiving messages instantly, you had to you were getting faxes, and that sort of stuff, where it would take hours, and
100%.
you could afford to leave stuff away because you come out and you'll be almost the same. Your life would be the same. Whereas if you were to go to training now, spend 2 hours, you come out and, we're into lockdown or,
literally.
I did a podcast with Jono Marsh. We started on the Friday and we went into the podcast. We went into the podcast just like normal life. And then we turned everything off, looked at our phone and like, oh, fuck, better go.
4 hours, we've got to go to the shop, get your toilet paper.
I know. What is that?
That was ridiculous.
You can't expect people to drop things these days. And
I'm so glad that perspective's changed, but it still, I think, has a long way to go.
Another one I was talking to Barbie about as well is about training. With how much, or training and playing needs to be pleasure. Like you need to be able to enjoy the training and the game. But like at the same, Muhammad Ali had a great quote. It was like something about hard work, but you got to keep going. Something about being hard, and he hated every minute of training, but he knew that it was like for greatness. But like people look at that. If I was to look at that quote now, and I would go hate every moment of training, you'd be like, "Fuck, this is shit." Like I don't want to go back anymore.
You get why he's saying, and I love that quote as well. But it's like, you shouldn't hate it, because if you hate it, then how are you going to perform well? Like,
you can't go.
You can't,
because we've got other things outside of life that probably beat you down as well, and that's going to keep pounding on the.
Which is why I like when people talk about wellness stuff now, and they're like, "Oh, we don't do it." I'm like, how can you not do it? Like, how can you not care about it? Because you have to understand what's going on in your athlete's life, to then understand why maybe they're not training well or why they hurt their leg. Like, because it all adds up together. I think anyone that, and there's definitely people out there, anyone that's like, oh no, it's not important. I'm like, are you really doing your job properly if you don't keep track of that stuff? Like,
how do they kind of combat that AFLW? Like, do you have an actual wellness coach, or do you have a wellness advisor, administrator, whatever you?
Yeah, at West
terminology?
Coast we're pretty lucky. So Jan Cooper did all our kind of wellness stuff. But so season 1, Liv was more in charge of it. Like, she sent out all our wellness questionnaires and stuff, and then would check in with Coops and be like, hey, so-and-so red flagged here, or I think you just need to touch base on this person, just from having general conversations with people. Didn't happen so much this year because the coach that we had didn't really think it was important, which I think is probably why a couple of people got hurt, because that stuff just wasn't getting addressed, and too much was left to too few, or we were doing it Monday at 4 o'clock and we started training at 5. What are you supposed to do with that information in an hour? Yeah. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And we only did it once a week. And we trained 4 times a week.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why do it then?
Why? Right. I think it was just a ticker box. And like, as an S&C coach, it used to piss me off a lot.
You can swear, it's fine.
Cool. Well, yeah, I hated it. And I was like, this is fucked. And I told a couple of people, I said it in a nice way. And I was like, why don't we do it more? And they're like, oh, because the boys don't do it. I'm sorry, the boys only have, I'm sure they have other things to worry about, but the boys just, that's all they have to do. We're all working, studying, have, Dan Hooker's got a child, like, people have partners, families, like the boys do, I know, but, there's all this other stuff going on that you can't just be like, oh, well, the boys only do it once a week. It's like the boys live totally different lives to us.
Yeah, and you live totally different lives to them.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you can't compare, like, what the men's program does to the women's program, because it just doesn't work. None of it transfers across. So
that's interesting that they said that, because it's not the.
And we had nothing initially.
They're neither the same. They're not the same. They're not similar or the same.
And we had none of the stuff on like our menstrual cycle, which everyone is pretty clear now that has a big impact on how you perform, and it just wasn't in there. And I was like, surely this should be. And then we had some lady come in, Lucy Peach came and spoke to us, and then the next week our menstrual cycle tracking was in our wellness.
Oh, really?
And I was like, better late than never. But
because also West Coast started from a new club came in. Do you feel like they were behind the 8 ball because that all maybe at the start it was there?
Initially we had lots of stuff set up really well, and then because of they said it was because of COVID, a couple of things changed, and then like structured up differently with cost cutting and stuff like that, and it seemed like some of the off-field structures we had in place kind of just got pushed aside because the new people that we had brought in didn't care as much about that sort of stuff, which then obviously impacted the way that other things were handled, and which is really disappointing because we had lots of things well set up. Even in the academy that we had pre being officially an AFLW was run like better than I would think some maybe even AFL programs are run. So for it to go from really good, I thought, obviously we didn't have the on-field results that we wanted in season 1, but off-field, like there was a lot of good things set up in place, that were really good that then you could grow on. So it definitely felt like we took a bit of a backward step, particularly in that wellness space. And then, I mean, Jan Cooper's had her own health battles. You can't leave it up to her to do everything because, she's only one person. Obviously, like we had a couple other people helping her out, but I think, they had too much to do and not enough people actually listening to what that was saying. But I think, I'm not there anymore, but I think they've tidied a few things up, which is good.
That's good to hear this back on track.
Yeah, fingers crossed it is.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because the last thing you want to, especially with the club so prestigious like West Coast, like with such a good name in the AFL, and even if they don't transfer the open AFLW, it seems to be a bit of a shame.
Yeah, and like they had it set up really well, so then for those things to kind of fall away.
Yeah,
but
as well, because you want to have you want to be like, and you want all teams to be competitive.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
off seat, like if off field stuff isn't kind of working, then you're never going to get on field results.
No,
that happens all the time. All the time. You're looking at why a club on the bottom.
Yep.
Well, it's got to be.
There's definitely because everyone's got access to stuff, so it's like what's going on behind the scenes that's not working. So, but I think they've definitely taken on a lot of feedback on particular area, and I think that's definitely going to get fixed up. So,
did you have little pod groups and that sort of stuff?
We did in season 1.
Yep.
We didn't really this year. Okay. Again, don't really know why, but we definitely did the year before.
Do you feel like that's kind of another bit of beneficial doing that? You can kind of get close to those kind of core group of people and then kind of share things that maybe you might not actually share with staff.
Yep. Well, we do it at Subi as well. We have pod groups because for that exact reason. We do it more from like a skill, like so they can work on that stuff together. So there's like one leadership group member spread around. But yeah, exactly that reason. So you can touch base. Not everyone's going to use it because some people don't feel comfortable in that space still. But I think at least having that option there, it's like a little separate group. You don't isolate yourselves obviously from the rest of the team, but having that opportunity to like, hey, this is a small group of like 5 or 6 of you that can then communicate together. Then if there's obviously a big glaring issue, your pod leader can take that further if it needs to be taken further. So yeah, I definitely find them really helpful from when I've experienced them as a player. And then even now as the coach at S&C coach at Subi, it's a bit easy to touch base. Like if I need to send out a message, I'll send it to the pod leaders. I'm like, hey, can you talk to all your girls about this or that? If they're not doing their wellness questionnaires, which 30-second thing, I think it's that hard to do. But
oh God, don't get me started.
I'm like, please come on, we've been doing this all year. Don't just suddenly forget now.
Yeah, well, then you get some of them get the excuse, so I don't get to training until 5 minutes and not to see the physio. I'm like, nah. Don't be started, buddy.
I feel sorry for her. Poor Paige is our Subi physio. Like, I'm working full time. Only one physio, and she's got to try and treat like everybody.
Yeah.
On a Wednesday night. I'm like, oh, this is not fair.
Do you have a glance, like what kind of stands out like a female athlete that they lack? So I've been working with, I've worked with a couple. So I've worked with East Freo women's side.
Yep.
And then I've worked over with Waste. Oh, sorry, yeah, Waste. I was going to say sassy. Waste hockey, Waste hockey and the women's. And then kind of the difference between the two was obviously training age. The Waste girls, they've been through a system. But kind of looking at, let's say for a squat, the Waste girls kind of have really good control through the trunk. And they've been looking at girls who can't even do a bodyweight squat with their shoulders going one way and the hips going out the other. Like they had no trunk kind of awareness. Do you see similarities there as well?
100%. Like you see girls trying to change direction and sometimes it's like, I just want to cover my eyes. I don't want to see that. Like because they have no trunk control or they're all shifting and then their whole weight's going over to one side and then they don't like, and then to change direction, go the other way, then they have to drag and lag all the way behind and you're just like, just pivot step, like, shuffle your body weight so it's already going the direction you want to go. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. And I'm like, how's nobody ever taught you how to move? And again, it's all that trunk control, or you see people jumping and landing and they just like land like they're a ton of bricks and you're like, you're going to hurt yourself if you fall like that. Well, I saw one girl, like she landed like stiff-legged and I'm like,
what?
What are you doing?
That's kind of weird.
I know, it was scary. So that's why there's such a big emphasis on it.
It's actually scary because how did that, like, what kind
How
of...
did they get that far?
Yeah.
Or even like technique-wise, like kicking, like people like lean back on it or like just have really funny ball drops and you're like, how did you get to this point? Like with that skill component. But I think it literally is just because either one, like I think girls seem to pick, some girls, not all, seem to pick which sport they want to play like really late, particularly in footy. Like they come to footy really, really late, so they don't have that motor control, fine motor control patterns set up. Or then they just have no, like you're saying, body awareness. Like I was talking to one of my teammates the other day who used to do gymnastics and she got hit at training by one of our strongest girls. And I was like, oh, most people just fall like a pancake when that happens. And like she held herself really well. Like her legs went out from underneath her, but she like was quite calm and landed quite controlled. And I was like, do you think that's because of like gymnastics? Obviously you have to tumble and stuff. She's like, absolutely. Because how often, like I'm sure it happens in men's footy too, like people get their legs taken out and they're gone because they just don't know where they are.
Yeah.
Proprioceptively, they have no idea what's going on around them. And I think that's a major issue in women's sport, particularly, your contact sports, but like in your hockey and stuff as well. People just don't know how to move effectively, I don't think.
I think maybe as well in this kind of society or kind of our kind of generation maybe didn't start early enough. Like girls now who are like kind of, I guess, 8, 9 are starting sport a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been like our age group, girls would have kind of played sport
then
later and then and maybe come back later.
Yep.
Kind of missed a good period. But you're 100%. Right, gymnastics is big because you've got lots of different movements, varied. You got you do your landings, that sort of stuff. I like gymnastics because of that. And also martial arts I think is really, really good. I did karate. Well, my brother and sister, we all did karate when we were young. And we did however many years was that. But it was all like everything we would do would be like we're doing like essentially squat iso holds and holding for like 5 minutes, or we're doing like push-ups, sit-ups, different kind of movements, learning to balance one leg and kick. And
at least be able to hold your own body weight, let alone extra weight. But yeah, I think a lot of girls just haven't ever been exposed to that, or there's still a lot of like that fear around being in the gym. Like that's something we're trying to work on at the moment at Ludus because obviously we have a lot of males in the gym. There's not a lot of females. Trying to make it a little bit more like female friendly, I suppose, because it is sometimes a confronting space for some people, male or female, because when you see people, lifting heavy weights and stuff like that, you can be like, oh my God, I can't do that. And then there's that whole internal fear of being like, oh, I'm a girl, should I even be lifting? Which is something that I hate, but it's a pretty common kind of stereotypes. That's that wall that we probably got to try and break down, which I think is a major issue for female sport, because then like how many girls do you see at primary school, high school, they just pull out when it's PE class because like, oh, embarrassed or whatever. And I'm like, it's something that definitely needs to change, because then when girls get to when they do want to come back and play sports, like, well, you got to start from like when stuff you should have done when you were 12 because they've either missed it or just never done it.
How do you change it? Just generations.
I think it's just society in general would probably have to change, because I think there's, as much as we say we're getting better, like clearly there's still a big difference between men and women, like equality in sport.
Yep.
I think that's pretty clear for everybody to see. So that is probably the first thing that needs to change there. And then I suppose just encouraging girls, like I would hate to see stuff just become so either male or female. I think that's silly. Like I think like I played Auskick and we played with the boys, and it was like I think that's made me a better footballer because of that. But I mean, I suppose if that's kind of what you have to do to get more girls into the gym, which I don't think is ideal, but it's like a bit of a catch-22. If you need to get them in there more so they can move better, then either change the environment that they're in, like take it out of like a gym setting, or make it a little bit more specific to them. So if that does mean run all girl and all boy kind of classes, but with a little bit of mix.
That's interesting. Interesting you said that playing with boys, Auskick made you better.
I think so, because they move different. So then I kind of learnt how they played and stuff like that. And I was really lucky. The people that I had coaching me as a kid like never treated me any differently, which is really good. But I just think because like obviously they hit a bit harder, like when you can get to that point where you can tackle or whatnot. I think the girls learn stuff a bit faster. I don't know, but it was cool because you got to experience like growing up, and then in that sort of environment, never getting treated like, oh, you're a girl. Like it probably gave me a little bit more, I suppose, a little bit of confidence in what I was doing. And I just think, the way that they move, the way that they kick, the way that they jump, tackle, whatever, is pretty different to like if it was just an all girls Auskick, I think. I mean, that's no science at all, but
yeah, because if you're playing, there's be a bit of a kind of movement gap and there'd be a skill gap, but then it won't be that big.
No, and you couldn't, and like
issue.
And I played till like under 13, so at that point, they don't have too much of that big testosterone. Like I'm a boy, like there wasn't too much of that.
Yeah.
So it was purely just a skill thing, and like because we learnt at the same sort of rate, then it was fine. Like there was no gap or anything. And me personally, I was like, oh, well, I want to show the boys that I'm just as good as them. So you kind of work a little bit harder. It's probably where all that little internal me like, oh no, I just got to work hard probably came from way back when I was 5 years old. But yeah, I think no science behind it, but a lot of the girls that I've grown up with that I know have played with the boys, that have grown up and played like Auskick with the boys. I think maybe not so much now, but definitely when we were playing like state footy and stuff, you could definitely tell the difference between the ones that have played footy since our kids were the boys to the ones that either started late or just played in all girls, just because of the way that they learn, and I think got coached maybe differently as well. So interesting.
Makes sense. It doesn't have to be a science one. It just makes a bit of a what are they? Just not theory. It's interesting because I feel like they could, if you get the girls into the gym when they're younger, the guys.
Yeah, it's just those fundamental movements. Hey, like you learn them early, then you can pretty much do anything whenever. But if you start learning them when you're 17, 18, I think it's way too late, which is what the boys luckily get access to. Like they have access to the gym and stuff a little bit earlier. Obviously, like when you development programs and your cults or whatever, you guys at least get to use the gym. I don't think you'd be pretty hard pressed to find any of the girls that have used the gym before they're 17, 18.
That's true. Where do you see how do you see it kind of like, do you see that kind of coming into high schools, maybe like an American setup?
Yeah, I think so. Like I know a couple of your private schools like your Wesley and that already have that set up. Obviously that's an all boys school, but pretty sure
I've got no idea.
I think it is. Anyway. So they've started to do that. I know my school, Emmanuel, got a gym a couple of years ago, so at least that's there for them to access. So I think yeah, definitely once if schools can kind of get on board and have obviously a proper structured thing run by a strength and conditioning coach, then that's where it probably has to start, because otherwise, like local clubs or whatever, junior clubs don't have the money to do that. And that's something we were talking about at work is like, could we go down to clubs and hire ourselves out? But then it's like, well, we're going to get paid like nothing for that. But I think it definitely has to start at school.
Yeah. And you have to have your male sport and then your female sport. You have to have a female stream sport. You can't just have like girls coming in to train.
No, yeah, and you can't.
We could do it. Maybe do they run it as a phys ed class? Or
yeah, I think so.
Have an actual proper you can pick electives at high school.
Yeah,
but then you're obviously missing a gap, and
then you're obviously missing out on schoolwork and stuff as well. But I think without segregating them too much, you definitely have to integrate that and make it like a safe kind of space, because I think that's probably the biggest issue that we're finding at work. Like girls just get a little bit intimidated by the setting. Obviously not everyone's like that. Like I never had an issue, and I would assume most of my teammates that I've ever played with probably never had an issue, but like, the broader society, it's not always the most not welcoming, but can be really intimidating, which is all squat racks, barbells, things like that. So we've just got to change that little bit of a cultural stigma, I think. Yeah,
it's crazy. Because I never thought, I don't know, probably me being a bit naive, never really thought like just, you just kind of go and lift weights. Like, what's the difference between a guy and a girl? Like lifting a barbell, like there shouldn't be a difference, right?
There isn't a difference really, but I think, like
perception
the perception of it. Yeah, like, I mean, one of my friends, so she's not like an athlete per se, but she told me the other day, she's like, oh, I just feel like when I go to the gym, like I have to lift properly all the time, and I have to try and lift really heavy because all the guys are watching me. And I'm like, that's so, like, I hate that people have to feel like that, because you shouldn't have to. You should just be able to go and do your own thing. I mean, the amount of guys, no offense to them, that you see lifting wrong anyway, and it's like they know no more than anyone else. Like,
all those videos, all the memes and all that from bad lifting or stupid exercise they do. They're all guys.
Yep.
Very rarely you see a woman on there. They're all guys lifting like shit.
We don't do silly things.
You sure?
Maybe.
Yeah. What's your favourite gym exercise?
Oh. I have lots of favourites. Anything with a landmine I really enjoy.
Yeah. It's the freedom to.
Yeah, we did this. Liv got me doing this really cool thing a little while ago. It was like you'd hinge over and then you'd rotate, lift it up, and then you almost like push pressed it.
Yep.
At the same time. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was really fun. So like hinge, then split jump, and then you got to rotate and flick it into the other hand. I don't know. I just thought it was so fun.
So you start on the left and you
start left and flick into your right. It was just so fun because, like, obviously you had to think about it, a bit of rotation, bit of hinge, so you got your hamstring in there as well, and then the drive through, obviously a bit of upper body. That was super fun. I really enjoyed doing that. But I think the thing that I probably do the most and probably enjoy the most would probably be either a trap bar or just like a rear foot elevated split squat.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just love it.
I hate anything that have to go on a rear foot elevated.
Why?
I don't know. Just don't like it. It hurts. Yeah.
I love it.
I love a good power snatch. Anything
I do enjoy like your Olympic lifts. They're good fun. I don't know them too well, but I do love a good like hang clean, or I haven't done too many full cleans, but they're quite enjoyable. I would love to be able to snatch properly. That would be good.
See, that's interesting because I never technically got taught how to do Olympic weightlifting. But that one of the things that I picked up really quick, and I always brought that back to karate. Yeah, just learning because they never they never teach like karate. They say just do this, and you learn by watching, right? Yep. And never go. They don't teach you to put your foot here, to put your foot there, and then like rotate. It's all like you see someone do it, and then and they say more hips, and you do it, and you say, oh my god, my punch! Like there's power in the punch. Same thing with like Olympic weightlifting, or just I picked it up just from I went to a CrossFit class, and I just kind of had a bit of a prior knowledge to it before, because obviously S&C coaching. But when I did it first time doing it myself, coach never came and showed me how to do it. I was just watching, and I was you see people who they'll reverse curl the bar instead of like flinging it through, and that's also like a lot of learning how to relax, like
100%
relax now, but tension to pull, but pull with your shoulders and your legs. And
how hard is it trying to teach people that they need to put tension through their shoulders? Like so often you're like deadlifting and people just like round, and you're like, just squeeze your shoulder blades together, like create some tension through your lats and traps.
Yeah. So tell me, what cue do you use for that?
One I used to use was like squeeze the credit, like think about having something in between your shoulder blades, or one that I've recently picked up, like snap the bar. So think about like snapping it to lock in your shoulders. That seems to work relatively well.
Yeah, I like the steering wheel one. Like you're holding a steering wheel and like push down on hard on the steering wheel.
That is a good one.
Braking hard.
I might use that one. I might steal that from you. I mean, I feel pretty lucky. Like, kind of got to learn Olympic lifting. Obviously, we did a little bit at West Coast in season 1 with Liv. And then we did a lot more. Well, obviously doing my masters at ECU, we got to learn from Greg Haff. And as much as it kind of annoys me how much he talks about powerlifting, like that's all he talks about. Like, these are the stuff in strength and conditioning. But I mean, him and his wife Erin were pretty good people to learn how to lift from. So
actually that would have been so I'd done CrossFit for maybe a couple of years, and then the first time going was my first time actually getting a coach.
How good? Like, that's a perfect person to learn from, right?
Yeah, and he goes, if you ever want to come back down and get proper coaching, come down and come lift with me. And I was like, no.
We literally got to spend like 2 weeks with them. I was so sore after it. But like November last year, we were on our prac for our masters. It wasn't really prac, it was just like an intensive unit. But anyway, I spent like 2 weeks with them learning how to like lift. Super sore, but I was like, oh, look, I can actually full clean. And we did learn how to snatch, but probably wouldn't really want to do it on my own because it's a little bit daunting putting stuff over your head. But it was super cool. And I was like, all these little tricks. And
I did some snatching stuff with our guys back home, our North Adelaide boys, just because the only reason why I could justify it was for shoulder stability. And our guys who would have like labral tears and then 3 weeks later snatch.
It's so good. Why do you think I think WA particularly, some people are really like against it. Why do you reckon that is against powerlifting?
No idea. I don't know. It could just be coach preference or time thing, maybe justification. Like East Freo, we don't do any of it.
But do you think that's the time thing? Like because I feel you definitely have to teach people how to do it properly because otherwise they'll do it wrong, get hurt.
Potentially, maybe next year. Our biggest issue was our guys weren't strong enough. So I really just need to focus on getting our guys stronger.
That base level strength.
Yeah, like really needed to work that up because before that, just always had a bit of a kind of easy route around lifting weights. Yeah, I just in general the culture wasn't that great. I think that's pretty well known.
That never works well, does it?
No, but like you look at someone like Subiaco with the men's, their size ridiculous, and
I think they have a pretty big emphasis on gym.
I think that started like 12 years ago.
Well, when Scully was there, and
it's a thing, and then that's kind of carried through. But something now, I think now we've gotten like a pretty decent level of base strength potentially next year to start using that strength into some speed, like using it explosively.
Yep,
is probably the next step for them, but it's going to be harder because just in terms of the equipment and like dumping barbells.
Gym down there is pretty small at East Freo, isn't it?
It's not 100 square foot, but in terms of like mats and that sort of stuff, it was really, and the barbells aren't kind of the best quality. Like I will start to bend,
break the plates.
Yeah, well, we got bumper plates, but the bars aren't at the like the strength to get the reap. Because once you've dumped the barbell, it's more weight than actually is on the bar, like it's double. And because you're dumping it on pure concrete, if we had like an actual proper like actual mats.
And the sound that would make would be, I mean, I hate when people just drop the bar because I'm like, woof.
Yeah.
Just up.
yeah. Or even like we could like dropping a dumbbell just from like this and putting it on the floor is loud. So like.
Yeah. Snatch. Oh, cool. I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
Probably put holes in the floor, I reckon.
So we were lucky. So that's what I love the snatch for that reason. And then power cleans just for basic explosiveness. But have you ever used the weightlifting derivatives at all?
Like hang cleans and stuff like that? Yeah.
Pulls, like
not too much. Do we do like push presses?
Yeah, push presses.
Again for that shoulder stability and overhead strength. Not that I can think of other than your hang cleans and I mean I do a couple like your bend over rows and stuff like that. It's a bit of a pull, but that's more for a bit of fun than
I know track cycling love clean pulls. And work away.
It's interesting though. It's like
because they reckon it's that joint specific.
That makes sense actually when you put it like that. Do you have like an exercise that you hate but you do it because you know it's good for you?
Nordics.
Yeah, true. Pro bias because of my hamstrings are shocking. So I love doing them because I know it's good for me. But yeah, that's fair. I think I
see him get done poorly all the time, and I was like, well,
that is quite annoying actually. Yeah.
if you're hinging at the hips, then then you're biasing the hip. Like you're no longer doing a Nordic exercise.
Yep. That's
just if you want them to do a Nordic exercise, put a band around their chest and offload the body weight a little bit and actually get to do it properly because you want to attack that bicep femoris. Like, do it properly.
100% agree. But when they're done properly,
oh yeah, 100%.
Pretty good. What's the worst? Do you guys have a Nord board or anything?
No. Oh, but I've had experience that way.
What's your worst differential you've ever seen? See if it's as bad as mine was.
I've seen, I've had some come back from ACL, so I've seen some pretty bad ones, like 20%.
20?
Yeah, what was yours?
Post hamstring surgery. So this is like February this year still. So this is 5 months after surgery. 27% difference my hamstring.
How much?
27.
27.
And I was doing hamstring stuff like all the time, but
wow. Do you feel like though you were you knew it was already going to be bad, so
no, like I was trying really hard
to pull through that. What side was it?
Left.
Your left side.
Yeah, which is also my ACL side. So the best I'd ever gotten post ACL was 16.
That's normal though, yeah?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that, and that was through really good programming again with Liv and Ryan. But yeah, not so good programming post hamstring surgery, and 27% was the best I got to.
That was after 5 months of training.
Yep, and I was doing some extra hamstring stuff because it wasn't really getting done. But yeah, I think maybe I got it down to 23, but still that's.
So that was obviously, the tendon surgery. So you had that.
Yeah. So I started at the first Nordics I did on the board, like when I was allowed to start doing stuff again. I think I was at like 32% difference. So then got down like 27, and then I think it went down to 23. Not sure what they are now. They definitely feel stronger because I sorted it out. But
that's interesting.
20, yeah.
Because obviously your hamstrings have a surgery that's get attacked pretty badly.
And I can't. I mean, I run a fair bit, so I kind of need them to to work.
And sprinting and all that.
Yeah, sprinting.
It's interesting though. After 5 months, still couldn't get back.
I think because my right leg was just doing everything, which is obviously not good. But
did you incorporate many isometrics in there at all?
I've done isos, I reckon, almost every day for like almost 2 years, I reckon. Yippee, Rebecca Yippee, we've had to confess to that. I've done them that many times, but I don't know what it was.
Have you played around with Alex and Tara's run-specific isometrics?
A little bit. I do, yeah. So I've done a lot of like that, like the bench holds, started doing like switches and stuff.
Yeah.
They're quite fun. I do enjoy them.
What people kind of miss was that the key component of it first was the eccentric loading phase, right? And he was always
I love eccentric hamstring sliders.
Yeah, no, but actually in that position, so like you'd overload it. So you essentially get two really bench pull benches, so they're really high off the ground.
Yep.
Set up in that bridge position. Have like you can have someone put weights on it, or you can have like a dip belt and have the weights in, and then just overload it so you can't even hold that position. Just eccentrically load. Yeah. Because there's no point in doing isometrics if you're not essentially strong.
No, 100%. 100%.
Or even consensually strong as well.
His calf stuff as well was good fun. I remember when I was having issues with my calf, I actually tagged him in a story and he actually replied. And
he's good.
He was really good and he actually helped me a lot. And I was like, what should I actually be getting to and stuff like that? And I was like, oh, thanks, mate. Like, he doesn't know me from a bar of soap, but that was cool that he actually replied.
He was one of the first coaches to kind of get me to think outside of
the stuff he does is a bit different. Obviously, he's not at the Giants anymore, which is a bit of a shame for him, but he'd be cool. If he ever wants to come over to Perth, I reckon there'd be a lot of people that would tap into his brain.
I like the single leg loading one, the squat. The single leg that takes over like 1.5. I can't remember the actual the ratio, something but this like that, once you go from double leg to single leg, you're actually taking more than 50%. I think it's around 80% of your load.
Yep.
Whereas that legs, then you can
which is what we're doing running, right? So why you need to do single leg exercises.
Yeah. Well, even why you need to make sure you get strong. Like you can actually load. You can take out, say for example, you can take squatting out or any double leg movement out. You can load up your single leg squats, like single leg squats. So you can do like
split squat,
box step ups or stuff like that. And lowers. You can load it and you can work out, well, if they're doing it this load, that's actually correlating to that back squat. Or if you're doing this back squat, then you should be able to do this way, single leg squat. If you're not, then there's the differential.
There's something going wrong here. Yeah. 100% agree. I think anyone that doesn't think single leg stuff is worth doing, I'm like, do you play sport? What do you do running? That's single leg.
Well, his I think he's done 2 podcasts on the Pace Performance podcast.
They're a good one. I like Pace Performance, yeah.
He has done 2, and the first one he talked about his isometric stuff. That's when he was over in Qatar, I think, still.
Yeah.
And then when he did the second one, he was at the Giants, and he was going over how kind of it integrated into footy, into the GWS.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, they still had a few hamstring issues, which I don't think that's to him per se to blame, but probably what got him kicked out the door, I suppose, because they're obviously so outcome driven in the AFL. But very interesting, and would have been cool if he could have kept going with that. Would have been good to see where it went.
When I went up to GWS for a week, and that was a couple of years ago. But the one kind of person who stood out for me was Dylan Shill, and it's how he's like he's.
Did you see that video of his Nordics where he goes all the way down
the razor curl
and comes all the way back up, and you're like, oh.
I've seen a few of those.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I don't mind a razor curl; they're pretty good too.
It actually worries me. The guys who can do that worry me more because they're the ones who are going to get injured because they're too strong.
They're too strong.
Well, there's so much force going.
Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm too strong. That's why I keep getting injured.
What the force you pulling through the hamstring? How much force?
This leg, right leg, like close to 250.
Okay.
Left leg, not good.
100?
Oh, like 150.
Yeah, okay.
190 at best, I reckon. I got 2.
Yeah, no, it's just that it worries me because they have that capability of doing that much force, and if they're not sprinting to get to that force, then there's a worry.
That's a good point, actually.
Because they have that. Most of our guys who are the strongest, like if we had an old board, would be pulling the highest numbers and would still be getting injured. And I feel like it's a little bit of because there's that speed element that maybe they're not getting as well.
They're not getting, yeah. Well, that's what I think, like,
but they are our fastest too, so.
Obviously, you can do all the strength in the world, but obviously that's not going to save you from injury, which is kind of disappointing. Like, we're like, yeah, get strong, you won't get hurt. It's like, oh, but you still will.
Yeah. It's just the unpredictable nature of sport.
Yeah.
Like, we've had that many contact injuries this year. We have 2 Cindy's and like someone's like fractured their leg. Like in one of the guys, like our like pretty big key forward, he went up for a mark and then as he landed, someone landed across his foot. Like, it was only for like a split second. So like physio was like, that's typically not how you do a Cindy. I then scanned a Cindy, but it was like not a bad one. So he's able to weight bear on the moon. But both had another guy has had surgery, Cindy, and then another guy's broken fibula, so he's going conservative there. Another guy's done his meniscus, and it's just stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of broken ankles, or fractured fibs and things like that this season in the waffle. Like we've had 3, I think, at Subi, and obviously my fractured navicular, not quite the same, but still in that boat. And I've seen a couple other girls from other teams doing. I'm like, not that there's anything we can do about it, but I'm like, can't keep breaking all these bones.
You have to think why that is, well, is it because they're maybe not training it? Like, is it not getting exposed to enough of that training?
Yeah. Or what are they eating? Or
yeah, it could be that as well. Maybe because Cindy's are getting picked up better on scans, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone in the AFL seems to be doing Cindy's, but I think that's just some couple of people in the media just latched on to what a Cindy means. They're like, oh, an ankle means Cindy. Not necessarily.
Well, I think maybe because back in the day they would have just done if someone's ankles was just sore, they would just be, well,
what is your
bother scanning.
Your thought on strapping? So say you've never had an ankle issue. I mean, I strap mine because I've rolled them that many times. But what do you think? Like, would you, if somebody came to you and they're like, Matt, I've never hurt my ankle, but should I strap it? What would you go with?
Why? I mean, you don't need to strap it. It's not.
Well, lots of people just do it because they're like, oh, everyone else. Well, I think maybe one because lots of other people do it. But I know a couple of years ago, I can't remember what team it was, but they made everyone strap their ankles. I think it was the Bombers. I'm like, but if they don't have an issue, why would you?
Precautionary, maybe. I don't know.
Like, I get it. Like, I mean, missing a game when you rolled your ankle, but it's not going to stop. Like, obviously, I mean, I had mine strapped when someone fell on it, and obviously someone fell on it makes it a bit worse, but it didn't stop me straining a few ligaments and stuff like that.
I feel like if you have had previous ankle, you have to. But if you're not, then there's no reason why. You should strap it. It's an interesting one. maybe if they're thinking about it, then if they're
But then it's
thinking
like, why
about it,
would
then
you
you
think-
should do it
yeah.
because then you might be subconsciously,
Mentally.
you know,
Yeah.
it's in their head.
But then it's like, if you've never heard it, why would you subconsciously be worried about it?
Exactly.
Which is, again.
Maybe they have, but not telling you.
Yeah, maybe. That's always a possibility.
You know, I was gonna text you this morning as well because I woke up. I did have a voice. That's why my cough and cough fit right now.
Oh, no.
I don't know, like for real. Like I woke up, I had like squeaky, like it was a weird, like what is this sound coming out of my mouth right now? Like it was weird. Like even my dog didn't even recognize. Like
Who is this guy?
Who's this guy talking to me? I'm like, God no. And I was mid texting you. Like I was like, gotta call it off. Like I can't speak. And then I was stripped so then I was having a coffee. And then I just coughed, released a little bit of phlegm, I think. But then fine.
Better.
And I was like, oh my God, I can speak now.
Yay, crisis.
Yeah, weird.
Coffee fixes everything.
Oh, isn't that true? Especially in the coaching realm. Coffee is like life.
Me and Jem have a bit of a joke about that. Like, I think I tagged her in this meme the other day. It was like when you've had like no sleep, this, that, and then little Band-Aid picture, and it's like, this is what coffee does.
Oh, for sure. Well, those early mornings, and then by the time you get to 12, it feels like 3.
Yeah, it feels like you've been awake all day because you got up at 4:35 to start your work at 6 or whatever. And
do you feel like that kind of impacted? Because obviously you train evenings when you're at West Coast. Did that have an impact on your ability to train, or not really? You didn't think about it.
I think looking back now, like when I first hurt my hamstring, like when I first tore it initially, I had a lot of stuff going on and I was working really early mornings and obviously training late at night at Subiaco and at Eagles at the time. And then loading wise was probably, it got stuffed up. And then poof, hamstring gone. But yeah, I definitely think when I was at prac and then rolling straight back into work. So yeah, I start work most days, like in season, I was starting pretty much every day at like 6 o'clock. So I'd be waking up at 5 and then like not working super long hours, but then doing uni in between and then not getting home from footy till like 10 o'clock at night. I think when you think about it, that definitely would have contributed because my sleeping pattern was like I'd, probably go to bed at like 11 because by the time I got home and then showered and stuff and wind down, it was 11 o'clock. Then I have to get up at 4:35 every single day. Like, I was doing it, but I don't know how well I was doing it, if that makes sense. So, you roll in, obviously be present for everything that you're doing, but I think it did slowly start to catch up with me, and then I was probably just getting really fatigued. And then because some stuff at footy, like obviously being injured was really frustrating, so it was starting to really like kind of piss me off because I was like, I just want to be playing, and then was tired. And so I think, if you look at it, it all kind of contributes. And I'm not the only person in that boat. Like, there'd be lots of girls that either working all day or starting early, and it's just ridiculous.
Do you feel as well that, because obviously this would have been time in like study and exams, all that stress from work and studying compounded in the physical, like it came out physically, the ramifications of all that stress? Yeah,
I think so. Like when I ended up having a scan to say that I had a stress fracture, and I think that was the biggest issue with my nerve as well, because obviously there was a nerve issue, like my nerve got irritated from my hamstring surgery. But then I think on top of that was the stress of like being injured at footy, and then what that means, like not playing, then what that means after that. And then uni and then just general life things. Like I think all of that together then, like, because I had nerve pain like right up until like our last week at Eagles, I could still only do like 15 calf raises on my left leg compared to 30 on my right because I still wasn't quite getting that message through. And then as soon as footy finished, it actually got better. And I think that has to do with a couple other things that changed as well. Right. I got to work with people that are, certain people that I wanted to work with and probably wasn't really enjoying working with at Eagles. And then I didn't have to work with them anymore. So I think that definitely helped there because it just took a bit of that stress away. Then uni finished up, again, stress gone away. So I think, definitely it amounted to potentially the injuries that I had. Obviously, stress fracture would initiate a stress, but then, all that together with that calf issue that I had was then loading up on my bone. Again, because I had a lot going on. Then when I had that, my sister was getting married at that time. Not that that was stressful for me, but that's still a lot going on. Like that was one of the funnest things I ever did. But like, that's a lot.
A lot of things you have to do.
And I was at prac at ECU at the time. So we'd start each day at 8 and I wouldn't finish till 5 and then roll straight into training. So I'd leave home at, 6 o'clock in the morning to catch a train to get up to Joondalup, then not get home from footy till 10 o'clock. And I was like,
train to Joondalup.
Yeah. I mean, it was only 2 weeks, but that was a massive 2 weeks. And I was kind of.
Oh, yeah. When I did that same thing. It was 2 weeks we went home. My mate and I were like, fuck, we need a holiday.
Yeah, and it's exhausting because you literally like, obviously, you know, your
Lots of
master's
different
was
things.
kind of online before that point. And like, I loved going to uni when I was in my undergrad and stuff, but we were never there like 8 till 5
No.
every day, ever.
No.
Maybe one day, if that. I don't think me and my friends were ever there that
How
long.
many coffees did you kick back during those 2 weeks?
Oh, too many.
Counted them.
There's like 3 coffee shops right near the train station at Joondalup, so I just walk off and then probably get another one at lunchtime because that's when everyone else kind of wanted a coffee. So yeah, spent a lot of money on coffee that week.
How you going? Is the sun hitting you right?
Nah, should be right.
You sure? Don't want to pull the blind over?
No.
You good?
It's keeping me warm.
Okay, awesome. How do your exams go?
Good, I
Good?
think. So assuming
You done?
they went well, I'm done.
Done?
Master of
Done.
Strength and Conditioning.
Dang. You can put the what's the little
Yeah, get all
acronym.
my
You put
little
the acronym
acronyms
before
next
your
to
name.
my name
It's
and
MS something or other.
whatever it is. Yep. Actually, I'm pretty sure my exams went fine. I would have thought they would have.
Do you have a favourite subject that you liked across the board?
I really liked doing biomechanics with Sophie Nymphus.
Oh, yeah,
We did that
yeah.
semester 1. That was really cool. I think like I'm a massive fan of hers. Like she's amazing as like a role model female in SNC. And then just the way she teaches, I love it. Like I like when people are blunt and straight to the point. It can hurt your feelings sometimes, but I'm like, I'd rather you just tell me. So yeah, I love learning that. And obviously she's a pro at what she does. Like all the change of direction papers are amazing and the way that she's broken it down. So that was really cool. What other unit did I enjoy? Well, when we got to actually lift, power lift, that was obviously fun. And learn from
the practicum.
Greg and that. Yeah. So that was super cool. I don't know, a couple of the units we did this semester, like we did a monitoring athlete performance, which I was like, okay, I kind of feel like I know how to do that. So it was cool, but like, and then it got real repetitive, so it was a bit boring.
Yeah.
And then periodization was another one that we had, which is obviously cool and it's really important. But having worked as an S&C coach at work now for like 3 years, I was like, oh, okay. Like, not that I know everything, but like there isn't that much to do to like periodize. Like it doesn't change. Like it hasn't drastically been like, oh, there's this new method that you should do. You know, and the way that we load things at work is like you do a 3 and 1, so or a 1 and 3. So your first week's like the easy and then build. Then the next week drop off a little bit, then build again. That's super compensation.
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of do it. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'm pretty regimented and this is what I want to do. So
yeah, I like the advanced resistance training was one I really liked.
that was good.
It was mainly predominantly gym based.
Yep. I didn't like the human anatomy one. There was so much content in that.
Fuck. They're so heavy, those ones.
I was like, how much more could I know about this? Like, you know, I've already done this many units of it at undergrad. And then bang, it was like the hardest semester ever.
The one thing I really love, and I play around with it a lot, well, I prescribe it a lot, is cluster sets.
Yeah.
I love cluster sets, especially for some of our guys who actually do lift a bit heavy, like who lift heavy weights. They actually can kind of drop it down a little bit and actually get some explosive
I did
strength
find
out of
that. I haven't implemented it, but I did find that really interesting. And the stuff on like bands and chains as well. Like I had done a little bit of it before, but I didn't really know why. And then we had Johnny Vincetti come talk to us about that stuff. I love JV. He's great.
He's a good man.
So that was really cool to actually understand like what you could do with it and how far you could go with it.
And you just look like a badass when you squat the chains.
Yeah, because it was like,
you feel like you're part of West Side Barbell, like big ass, like they have big thick band, like thick band the size of my legs over the top of there, and they have chains, and these guys just look purple because their blood pressures are through the roof and they're so fat, but they lift massive weight.
Or doing stuff with BFR. I like doing that. Big BFR kind of person. It's help. I did a lot with my knee. And started doing a little bit with my calf to just try to get some.
You never use anything for your hamstring?
A little bit. Actually, I'll tell a funny little story. So when I was doing rehab for my hamstring, I'd watched a little video from Sel Griffith.
Yep.
So he's a big hamstring guy. And I remember, because I had a lot of questions and there was things I thought I should have been doing and had spoken to people that I trusted. And they're like, you really should be doing this stuff, B. So I remember I went and spoke to our S&C at Eagles. And I was like, can I do some blood flow, BFR stuff, blood flow restriction? And he was like, I don't know what that is. I was like,
no way.
What do you mean you don't know what that is? Like, I was like, oh, you know when you cut off blood flow? Like, and he was like, oh, no.
Really?
I don't know if he just didn't care because I literally saw like a couple of months later one of the other girls was doing it, but she had no idea what she was doing. And I was like, well, he obviously hasn't explained it to her. And I was like, what pressure do you have that on? She's like, oh, I just pumped it up. And I was like,
Jeez, she's got like pins and needles out.
and then
like,
she just kept walking around with it inflated. And I was like,
oh no.
you can take it off when you finish doing the exercise that you're doing with it. And I was like, because I did my my honours on stuff with blood flow restriction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, probably didn't quite pan out the way I wanted to. It was good learning. So I did it with Brendan Scott, who's obviously massive in that space. Anyway, and I said to my teammate, I was like, you can take it off. And I was like, you kind of want to have it at about 60% of like your blood flow. And I was like, so ideally, you take your pulse and feel when it cuts off and then you work out your 60% off that. She was like, oh, I had no idea. And I was like, how did he not tell you this is what you were supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Like,
well, I tell our guys, I just tell them 7 out of 10 partners. So
roughly. Yep.
Pull if you can put 2 fingers in there, pretty good.
But yeah, I was just like,
nobody's got time.
This was one of the first little issues that I had with S&C at Eagles. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know what it is.
That's interesting. So what was your honours? So what kind of...
Initially, we were going to do it with like soccer players and see how it impacted performance. So we had a heap of drills and stuff set up. We'd started it, but trying to get participants is like the hardest thing in the whole entire world. And like, I think at the time, I didn't really take into account, but nobody had really taken into account that I was like an elite athlete. So I couldn't be there at nighttime, which is when everyone else kind of trains because I had to be at training. So we were struggling. So then I ended up doing it. So we started it, but didn't quite finish that project. Ended up using some like old NERS data. And then, what does that even stand for anymore? It was like something about, blood and neurologically and the motor patterns and stuff. I should probably know, but I haven't looked at it since I submitted it. Anyway, and then it was just basically like resistance exercise with blood flow restriction and how that affects the neurological pathways.
And then they've got to train or...
this was in
that's not a part of that.
No, this was a separate. So that we kind of parked the initial honours because we were just going to run out of time, unfortunately. So that would have been really cool, but I didn't get to finish it. But
so how would that have worked? So they would have done like a blood flow restriction and then done some exercise and then gone trained?
Yeah, so the way that the drills that we did it in the conditions. You did all the things like normal, no blood flow. Mm-hmm. So we had like the Luxembourg agility test. Then we had like this shooting drill. Mm-hmm. So you'd call out different colours and they'd have to shoot to the boards that were that colour and look at the accuracy and stuff. So we were filming it. Do that with blood flow restriction, without blood flow restriction. And then we did Gabbett and whatever designed it like that running protocol where you run, change direction, zigzag.
Is it Pat's agility?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we did those 3 things. So you did them twice, non-blood flow restriction and twice with blood flow restriction. And we're just kind of looking at like the changes in performance. And then we were going to do like a small-sided game to look at blood flow restriction again there, but we just kind of ran out of time. But it was mainly looking at how it affected their skills and whether then you could implement maybe potentially training, like soccer training with blood flow restriction on to kind of get that double whammy, like, obviously because it improves like your resistance training and stuff like that. So try and do that at the same time as you're training. But
interesting.
Yeah, never.
Like a potentiation effect kind of.
Yeah. To see, you get the best of both worlds was kind of the aim, but obviously we never really.
That's unfortunate. It didn't work out.
I know, because it was I really wanted to do something sport based, and I wrote about old people and how their body worked better when they had blood flow restriction, which pretty much is what all papers said. Like, you cut off the blood flow, then you end up getting more, so you increase muscle.
All the boys who have had hamstring injuries down at our club have used it. Yeah. It's a big part of our hamstring reconditioning.
I think it should be as well. And with the ACL and stuff as well, like I did a lot of it then. It was obviously, getting that quad activation and hamstring activation is quite hard. So, and you can't always load it up, especially early days. So just
we do.
Put a pump on.
Well, a few of our guys who've had, they might be compromised through their back and they might have to do lighter squats or something. They just put that on and use that as like a bit of a counteracting their load difference, like because it's a chemical overload rather than a biomechanical overload of the 100% of the tissue. So we use it that way. There's lots of different ways. Sometimes I use it in our isometrics. There's a little case study that came out in Alex and Tira's little he has a little YouTube channel. Yep. And he has a little case study, and Chris Cavilio did a little video on there about he had a guy with he had tendonitis, patellar tendonitis. Yep. And he had a block of 4 weeks where he did traditional, like, kind of exercise for that injury.
Yep.
And then he did another block. We're doing the same exercise, but with blood flow. And there was no difference in the first 4 weeks. And then in the last 4 weeks, this amazing difference just because of
The blood flow.
You'd think that was the cause, but you never can really be sure. There was other different things that happened, but that was one of the differences between the two blocks, and that's what the results showed. He came out and these athlete performed or something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of an interesting kind of
I
perspective.
remember a little one that I stole from that Cell Griffiths thing. Ryan and I did it together. Well, he watched me do it. Like you do like single leg bridges, and then you would like walking squat lunges with the blood flow restriction.
The pre that we did that. It's 10, I think it's like 10 or 20 squats, 10 meters, 10 lunges, walkouts.
I think they had like
sweeps,
inchworms and stuff like that. Yeah.
Inchworms,
oh my God.
Inchworms,
I did 3 rounds of that, and I was like, my leg definitely feels bigger because I was exhausted.
Did you put both legs or just the one leg?
I just did the one leg. Yeah.
I tell the guys.
I
tell the guys to do it on both, because if you get one leg beat, you walk around in circles, just like
just roll around.
They go,
one
like, shut up, mate. Shut up, Matty. Dickhead. You're like, what are these things you got now? Fucking no. They say things I shouldn't repeat on this podcast.
Oh, well.
We can swear, but we won't be saying what they call them.
No, probably. Definitely
for the
not
best. Probably for the best. My mum's listening, so I have to be careful. No, but all the guys who come back from probably the early stages, because it's anecdotally, I think Selwyn said the same thing. Anecdotally, it's a lot of it's pain relief as well. Like just mentally get some.
I think the mental side of it is the biggest thing. Like if you don't believe you can do it, then it doesn't matter how functionally you can do it.
Or even if you're
not confident to.
You're walking around, you're always like touching your hammy.
Yeah, if you're
that bugs me all the time.
Hyper aware of it.
Yeah, that bugs me.
Which I think like happened to a couple of our girls, like no one's fault, but like obviously you ask like, hey, how's the pain in your whatever? Then they're just always thinking about it. And I don't know how you get around that, because you have to ask. But
I'll stop asking.
I was like, you're just making them think about it. Is your hamstring sore? Oh, I don't know. Like, is it?
Should it be? Should it be?
Yeah. Should it be sore?
That's why I don't very rarely, if they say if there's something wrong, then you would know if something wrong, because like you look at your GPS metrics and that, and then if someone's not sprinting or expect this run's gonna get somewhere, some high speed running to it, and they don't, well, then that's when I go like, oh, how's your hammy? Yeah, and they go, oh, actually, it is a bit sore. I'm like,
yeah, well,
probably from your GPS numbers. Your GPS numbers actually say that, so let's go do something different.
Well, it's good that you actually did high speed running and looked at them.
Well,
some people
you would have thought that. Well, we have like our hamstring program reconditioning kind of phase. It's the first kind of phase is that general kind of strength and early kind of running, and then as soon as they kind of tick off a bit of you get your speed up above 15 k's an hour. Phase 2. And then we kind of try to accumulate load in 18 to 26 k's in that little bracket. And then once we go into phase 3, then it's about like let's get some load above 26 k's an hour, get some speed in there. And then as well as like your gym kind of the lifts get a little bit complex.
Yeah.
I start Nordics as early as I can. I just like same thing, Nordics with the band.
Yep.
Until they can get them into with no band and actually start to do it properly. And then might overload it, so I'll do like RDL drop catches.
Yep.
There's RDL.
Oh, they're so fun.
Challenging.
I started doing them recently. Best exercise. I should have been doing them a long time ago, but again,
have you played around with reverse hyperextensions?
Oh, no. We used to have one at Ludus, and then Ryan used to be the only person that used it, and it was just taking up a lot of space. We got rid of it, but they are good. I can see the benefit of them. Yep, GHD holds. Yep, they're good. Or just standard GHDs. Good
you
machine.
can do little like ISO holds, and then do little pulse drop catches as well.
Yep.
I also don't mind doing you do the single leg, but also do like an outer rotation, so then it involves a little bit of medial groin or adductor in there as well. That's obviously when you're sprinting, it acts as a fourth ham or deep flexion, gives you a little bit of fourth hamstring.
Yep, agreed.
Help them. So that's why we say boys who have sore groins don't squat deep. Well, usually I don't like them jacking like we would do box squats. I don't like them jacking up too high.
Nah, because then they just all.
Yeah, they might. Well, you're just doing knee bends then.
Yeah, we're not jumping. I saw a good post on that the other day, and I was like, "This is perfect." See, I was like, "Look how high this box is," and they're jumping well. And then the next one was super high, and it's like, "Oh, look, they just lifted their knees up higher."
Yeah. I think
it was from Athletes Authority. They're good. They're good. Those guys.
Shout out Lockie Beaumont and Carl.
Yep. If I
Legends.
ever go to Sydney, I would definitely like just roll in there and be like, hey.
Yeah, do it. Do it. I'll set you up.
Oh, do you know them? Like,
I got Lockie's number, and Lockie's a good man.
Yeah.
They're happy to have you down. Come down for that. When I we went down for the play conference, so I just went there and sat up in those little red chairs they used to have. Yeah,
that's so good. Their setup.
Even that well set up that they've got little ice tubs and hot tubs.
Yeah,
there.
and they have those little space pant, or whatever they're called, those pant things.
Have you used them before?
Yeah, we had them at the club. They were pretty cool.
Use them much?
A little bit. Use a Game Ready a lot, which is pretty similar, but obviously more localized. So it's like this little ice machine. You then plug it in, strap it around. So I'm going to use my knee because that's where I've had a lot on. Strap it around there, so then it like pumps up through the tube and it's like, and then it fills up with ice, and there's compression at the same time. So it's basic.
After?
Yeah,
after
so like
games?
After games, or like when I hurt my knee, it was to
recovery,
reduce swelling, say with my hamstring, to reduce swelling around the area quicker. Obviously, then just sticking an ice pack on it with tubey grip's not ideal. So,
have you heard the new school of thought these days? They're saying that no, they want swelling. Like you need to have the swelling there to allow for healing. Because I reckon if you're gonna, because the reason why,
obviously it swells for a reason.
It swells to get the blood flow there to kind of
to be like, hey, it's injured,
and give it time, give it the nutrients it needs or the nutrients it needs to recover. There's a new kind of school of thought. Even the guy who came out with the rice method.
Yeah,
he's come out and he said that's actually wrong. Like the ice, you actually need to have the swelling there, but it's such a new kind of it goes so much against what we already know, like the general consensus that people are scared about changing it.
I think, like obviously you want to reduce swelling so that you can get range of motion back into the joint as quickly as possible.
But does that counteract the healing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
How long because I originally read it. I was doing one of the Altus or Altus, however you pronounce it, their Need for Speed program. It was their performance therapy one. And it was in there, they break it up to 3 different parts. And the first one they talked about philosophy, and now that came up, that and about like Nordics, that sort of stuff. Kind of came about philosophy, about the changing of perception and what, you go against what's the general consensus because that's what, you're not always doing what has been done, but just be able to change and adapt to the times. And
that's it. Do you reckon they'll? I think you're definitely right. People hate going against the grain, even if it's the right thing to do.
You don't do it. You don't do it when it's going to cost you team and cost you, like when it's not you. So I do it myself all the time. Like if I get hit and sore, busted knees, busted elbows, busted knees.
It's interesting. Like it could be right. I haven't really heard. I'm going to go find out a little bit more about that.
There's a famous, or not a famous, but there was a fighter recently, a couple months, maybe last year, he got caught in an armbar and he was able to grind out the round, and his elbow was hyperextended, like full, like it was a round one. He was able to fight through the rest of the round, and his elbow blew out and swelled. After the fight, he went back to his hotel, ended up he said he came out on an Instagram post and he was doing bag rounds, pad rounds, just to keep his arm moving, keep blood flowing through his arm because he knew that was going to help it recover. And I was like, fuck, that guy's crazy.
That's insane. What?
Real nuts.
I can't believe that. He played on an arm like that.
Well, he was another one. He got, there was another guy last week. He got caught in an armbar and his elbow dislocated and the ref didn't stop the fight. The ref was like, nah, keep going. Crazy, man.
Can you imagine that happened in footy? Like,
I'm pretty sure that ref is not refereeing anymore.
No, I mean, I know why physios and that get very protective, but like you report one little thing and they're like, and then these guys letting them play with busted arms, like.
Well, that guy's just too tough for his own good sometimes.
Too tough or too stupid?
Well, you can argue that if you're locking yourself into a cage with another person,
pretty silly.
And pretty stupid. Well, I had one of my Muay Thai coaches on the podcast, and he fought Lethway, which is Muay Thai, so like kicks, knees, elbows, punches, but Lethway is headbutts and bare knuckle. Headbutts and bare knuckle. And that's the epitome of fucking badass, man. If you can fight with headbutts, but he lost one of his fights. It's actually on YouTube. He lost his fight. It's funny because he lost a fight. He got knocked down, and the he was fighting the Burmese guy, stood over him and just like pumped his, like he just went like this, like pumped his chest, slapped his chest. And supposedly in Burma, that means fight to the death. To the death, that means. And he said he saw that, he goes, fuck. He was like, I was like, mate, when that, like that's just a mental mind game. Like you imagine being on the floor, like you get tackled in a game or something, and someone just stands over you, like, and you're like, fuck.
I'd be like, please leave me alone.
You have to experience a bit of that, like in a game when heat's on, there'd be a bit of chirp going around. Chirp.
I mean, I can't say I do much chirping. I just kind of play.
Yeah.
And I'm more of like, well, if you want to stick to me, I'll just go get the ball and be like, well, look, I just did something really good, and all you can do is talk shit. So
you don't buy into it?
Not really. Like if people are giving some of my teammates a bit of a hard time, I'll say something, but not really to chirp. It's just be like, pull your head in, like, try and take a bit more of a responsible kind of stand. But yeah, it's never really been something I'm big on. Like often, especially in a waffle, because a lot of us when we're in AFL and then come back, we're all in the same team again. It's like, oh, hey, how you going? Like catch up kind of chat. But there are definitely some girls that go hammer and talk, particularly in finals are different. Like everyone's kind of, there's no friends there. It's all on edge.
So it should be.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we played East Freo a couple of years ago, and like, all the girls that were kind of on the same AFLW team, then on separate teams, it was like very heated and like, the odd barb being thrown, and it was quite funny now you look back at it. But
so you obviously would have played against friends, right?
Yeah.
Do you have, so is it the week before the match you play against, you stop talking to them, or?
No, I've never done that.
Really?
No.
I couldn't do that. If I had to play a game and knew I was playing against one of my mates, you just maybe not talk to them as much or something.
No, can't say I've ever experienced that. I remember when was it? Though. The season 1 when Eagles had a team, we were playing like Freo like in 2 weeks, and like Hayley Miller, a couple of other girls are good friends of mine. Like I messaged them during my, good luck. Like,
oh really? Too nice. You're way
friends, too nice. Like all the best. You don't really share stuff. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know.
Do you shake hands as well before?
Yeah. Well, most of the girls do, I think.
Really?
Sometimes some girls get a little bit too hot-headed and they're like, oh, no, we hate each other. And it's like,
yeah, no, that's me. I'm mad white like people. Like, I full change.
Oh, like I'm a very competitive person, don't get me wrong, but I'm always got time like, hey, good luck. And then as soon as siren goes, bang, now we play footy. But
I'm competitive in everything. like a few years ago, we used to play table tennis as like a bit of a thing, and we used to do it at the footy club, and I think because it was all boys, we all got so competitive. It was like we started buying like weighted rackets, and we were playing like had little weights in the middle, and I got an injury, a little bit of overuse, tendonitis in my elbow
from table tennis.
We would finish training at 7:30, and we boys would stay back until like 9:30, just because we were taking turns playing table tennis. Beats being at home.
Building, right?
God, it got bad. A few of the boys had like bets on. About it's like they'll tally up like how many wins you'd have, and then end of the season, the other one buys the other person, all expenses paid for lunch, and they were like, yeah, I'm taking to the most expensive place and I'm fucking buying like all the seafood and
oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, pretty bad. And competitive like golf, like that. I'm bad with golf. Like I know I suck at golf, but if someone hits a better shot than me, I'm always like, yeah, Tina, like you're lucky, like a shot and shit like that. Or if I hit one good shot, like yeah, I'm fucking on here. And then I don't hit another good shot for
the rest of the game. We didn't. Yeah, I think maybe the closest thing we had like that at Eagles. The last couple of years we had like this spike ball kind of tournament. Yeah. So you'd split into teams, and spike ball's so good. We played at Stubbsy's house at her front yard, which was amazing, and just everyone would like get right into it. People give each other stick. Often there'd be like the first time we played, particularly like only like 3 or 4 of the girls had actually played spike ball before, so the rest of us are just like, what the hell's going on? Like, then this year was a bit better because more of us had played, and it got like so competitive. Brianna Green, who you've had on the show, she is an elite spike baller. Like
really
diving across over the top.
She would be good.
So she's so good. Like I think I'm competitive. Greenie's like next level competitive. She loves it.
I've watched her play when she came back to play for East Freo start of the year.
Yeah. Oh, she's gone again. Another one that's been really fucked over by injury and real unfortunate as well. But again, that's 48. Like it picks and chooses.
I like spike ball as well because
it's
from you put it like
from coaching, change of direction.
Yeah, the movements.
Reactive.
You know,
dynamic. You know, you don't know what they're going to do. Cognitive, which is what change of direction is.
I like it. You know, you can easily do. So we do like Mondays. We do like a recovery and some weights, upper body weights sort of stuff. And a couple of weeks ago, we did ultimate frisbee, like walking.
Yeah.
Pace, but I changed it up. I had like 3 different frisbees on the go, like 2 teams, but 3 different frisbees, and just makes everyone think and got to catch it in a little circle.
Convinced Ryan to get spike ball at the gym. I love it. Like I've got one.
Good for like, well, it's good to change it up, and it's still the same. Like,
and it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's this like you team dynamic, movement, and the guys like.
And be a friendly competition.
It's a game. The guys got to take it serious. Like they're in team huddles and like, we're going to do this kind of movement pattern. This is like exactly what football like. You know,
it's warm up.
You're still teaching the kind of movement patterns.
Team. Yeah, I think it's great. Whoever invented it. Have you watched some of the highlight clips for it?
No.
Go on Spikeball's Instagram page.
Have you gone down a deep rabbit hole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they'll play on like fields and they're running like 30 meters away, hitting it up. Oh, so good. So intense. I'm like, I want to play spikeball like that. No more of this footy stuff.
They don't have to play it out in parks.
Yeah,
they do.
They do. Watch it. Everyone at home, watch Spikeball. Spikeball's Instagram page. You will not be disappointed.
Shit. Good. There you go. Spikeball.
Next thing.
Do you have what's kind of your favorite or a key moment that stands out at your time in West Coast?
I think my first game back, so round 1 for season 1, so 2020, we were playing Collingwood at Victoria Park. So that was my first time back in the AFL after I'd ruptured my ACL.
Okay.
And then again, probably the Derby the week later, because literally everybody that had helped me get back to that point was there. Like my physio, Kaylee Payne, Ryan was all there. They're watching. Then obviously a lot of my teammates who had played with at Subi, were either playing at Freo or West Coast or sitting in the stands watching because they all love footy down there. Liv Dalbasso, who helped me with my S&C stuff, was there, obviously as our coach at the time. And all my family and friends were there in the crowd. Obviously, mum and dad flew over for the round 1 game in Victoria as well. So, that one was special to get back. And then round 2, the Derby, obviously being the Derby as well, but to have everyone there that had helped me get to that point, because it was a pretty challenging road and lots of self-doubt like I've talked about before, but to have all those people there that had put a lot of time and effort into helping me, that was kind of like hey, look, we did it, we made it. So that for me, we got smacked, but the result aside, I was like, one, I got to play in a Western Derby, which is something I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. Maybe not necessarily would have been in an Eagles jumper because I was a diehard Dockers fan, but to play Optus Stadium, I think there was 40,000 people there.
Was that the first one?
Yeah, the first one.
First Derby.
Yeah, to play in a Derby and then to be able to be like, hey, thank you. This, I think that was the best way I could say thank you to all those people that helped me, because it was like, we did it. We got back to where we wanted to be. That was probably my favorite moment at the Eagles, I would say, and probably footy most generally, I'd say.
Yeah. Where would you rate? I think it was it Dana Hooker? Yeah. Well, the bump that she laid on, was it a Geelong player or something? She got a couple of weeks.
Oh, Swanee, Emma Swanson.
Yeah. Dude, that was the best bump I've ever seen. It was the fairest bump.
I remember Soph Nymphus messaged me the next day. She was like, she sent me all these little clips. She's like, what is wrong with this? And I was like, nothing.
That was a solid, I could feel that to my bones, but it was fair.
Yeah, it was fair. Yeah, it was a good hit, and Swanee only knows one way, and that's flat chaps, which is why everyone loves her. She never gives up. But I remember talking to her. I was like, I'm so I can't believe you got 2 weeks for that. And she was towing the party line. And it is what it is. But deep down, she was annoyed as well. Because she was just playing footy. It's not her fault the other girl was weaker than her and wasn't ready for it. It's not like you can go, hey, Matt, I'm going to hit you now, so just brace and be ready for that. That's not part of the game.
What do you think about, did you see David McKay and Hunter Clark, the incident?
Again, I think he was just playing footy. Okay, maybe he could have gone more the ball, but I think purely that was just a football
he got
collision.
Cleared.
Yeah, I think that's probably good, because I think if you start suspending people for that, it's like, well, where do you draw the line? And the match review panel. So some of the things that they suspend and then don't suspend, like 1 week a sling tackle's bad, and the next week you get off.
Well, I think that it's hard, right? Because there's they've come out and they've said the head is as soon as something that touches the head, you're done.
But then a couple of weeks ago, someone knocked someone out and didn't get anything for it.
Yeah.
And
what about
where's the precedent?
You can argue that every mark of the year. is
A push in the back.
or like head high contact.
Yeah,
but
'cause that's the knee in
so
the
what's the
head.
difference if I'm going to take mark of the year on you and my knee goes straight to the back of your head
And I get knocked out.
and you get knocked out? Is
Yeah.
that a free kick to you, or am I going to get suspended for 6 weeks?
Yeah. Can you imagine? Like, oh, that's spectacular. Oh, free kick. It's like, what for? Yeah, I think they've put themselves in a huge grey area, I reckon,
It
because and then they're not consistent about it either.
And with like sling tackle, if you sling someone and I land and my head doesn't hit, my shoulder hits the floor first, but not
Yeah.
my head,
It's
and I
fine.
get, and then it's only if you hit your head. You know, it's an outcome
which is
that's
silly
getting.
because it's like the action is still bad. Like that
Yeah.
double motion is still bad. Like, I mean, that's how I got knocked out earlier this year because the chick, like, one night didn't actually have the ball, got rid of it. She just went bang, bang, dumped me into the turf. And initially, the umpire said it was a push in the back for starters. Like, he watched the replay. I'm like, what are these people watching? And then, like, just the action itself, okay, wrap me up, whatever, that's fine. But you don't need to then double dump. Like, and I think people just don't really know or haven't really learnt how to tackle properly. And even when it still happens in the men's footy, it's like, obviously we don't take enough care in actually teaching how to do it. Like, I remember growing up, everyone was like, yeah, chicken wing people. And I'm like, that is actually so dangerous because then where am I got to fall?
Oh, yeah,
like,
and then your shoulders fucked.
Yeah, as well. But like, I remember literally getting taught that's how you should tackle. It's like,
I was talking to one of our players at Richmond. They had like a wrestling coach, like wrestling jiu-jitsu guy, and they weren't like teaching tackling, but they were like doing like takedowns, just like learning how to grapple with each other. Essentially, it'd be interesting. I reckon that could be one of the things that maybe come into women's footy.
I think
out.
so.
Just like not so much like learning how to tackle, but also like grappling, like
learning
being
where to be. Yeah.
Also like physical contact, getting it up in each other's face.
Yeah. I think at the AFL last year at Eagles, we did that a little bit.
Grappling.
Like the rolling around and stuff like that, just to learn how to fall as well. Like, and talking about gymnastics before, we started doing like roly-polies and stuff like that to just know where you are and know how to control your body. Because I think that's one of the biggest issues, and we mentioned it before for females, because they just don't know where they are because they haven't done it. So, yeah, that grappling stuff, I agree with you. I don't really like doing it because I hate rolling on the floor, like just in the dirt and wet, but it does definitely have a place, I think.
It's all about that, being uncomfortable, being comfortable, being comfortable, being uncomfortable phrase. And it's also better. It's a good challenge, like, because it's so far removed of the like footy. Like,
but it's so much
relevant.
part of it. Yeah.
Like being able to get into a contest and being up in someone's business and legs going that way, your legs, someone's foot's at your head, and then someone's tackling the balls. Sometimes you have to be in like in a weird position. You have to contort your body and try to reach for the ball between your legs, and someone's coming under your legs. And
I was actually having this similar conversation with Jenny Wallace the other day. She's obviously played cricket for WA for a long time. She's helping us down at Subi now, and she was like, "Do you guys ever like practice like diving to catch the ball? Because obviously that's a big part of cricket." And I was like, no, not really. It's more just an instinct thing. She's like, there's so many times you watch girls like go to get a ground ball or whatever, and they just like either can't pick it up or they don't know how to go. And she's like, that could be something that we could work on. I was like, that's probably similar to what we're touching on now, like just being exposed to that awareness of like, okay, you're gonna fall on the floor and it's not gonna be great, but you got to know how to do it, and then you protect yourself. And I was like, that's actually a pretty valid point, and interesting that obviously it's again come up now. So I think it's definitely an area.
Yeah, it's because especially in women's sport, maybe because the
ball does spend a lot of time on the floor.
There's also an element of danger as well, training that way, especially women a little bit more fragile in terms of getting hurt. Yeah,
that and with the loading and stuff like that as well. So I suppose that's where we as S&C's got to find that happy balance. But okay, this is where you need to get to. This is where we are. So how do we meet somewhere halfway?
Do you follow sport outside of footy?
Yeah, cricket. What else do I follow? I like keep tabs on a lot of things, but I wouldn't say I really like follow anything else. Like obviously like the Wildcats playing tonight. Obviously follow that. Keep touch on the soccer. Keep tabs on like how like female athletes are going. Obviously being
you follow the Female Athlete Project?
Yeah, I love that podcast. I have one of their shirts. I was almost going to wear it today.
Oh, we could have worn the same shirt.
Oh, we could have been matching.
I bought mine size a bit too big, but
oh well. Yeah, I love that. I listened to Anna Meare's one most recently, and I listened to it just after I read her book, and like I always knew she was cool. Like I remember watching her at Beijing when she came second, I think, and it was amazing. And I didn't really know about that other stuff that she'd been through, like with her accident or whatever.
Oh,
she'd had. Yeah. And then obviously reading a book and the podcast, I was like, wow, I thought it was amazing anyway that she got a medal. And then like hearing everything that she had to go through to get there, I'm like, wow, that woman is amazing. And just the way that she talks about her career and like she had some not so good things happen in her personal life, but she bounced back. I'm like, this is amazing. Everyone should read this book. Like I took so much out of it.
There's nothing more amazing when someone's like down, but then able to pick themselves up and come back.
Yep. And people were writing her off left, right, and center. They're like, you'll never walk again, let alone ride, blah, 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 blah. And then she obviously came second at Olympics. And then the next Olympics, she beat that British lady that was like her fierce arch rival at the London Olympics, and like she beat her. And the way they talk about, they had this plan that they wanted to execute, and she obviously executed it to a T. And I was like, oh, that's just so rewarding to know that sort of stuff would come off. So
it's so amazing as well because at that point in time, she was number one.
Yeah,
in the like.
Yep.
No one could take that away from her.
No, but yeah, I love the Female Athlete Project. Is awesome. I love that.
I'd love to have Chloe on the podcast. Chloe,
that would be cool. That would be cool.
Maybe next time she travels down. Well, she's
well, she just moved to DWS now.
And so if Sydney or GWS come down and play here,
maybe hunt her down.
Hit her up.
Sure.
She was so busy.
She seems pretty open to that sort of thing though. So maybe
another collab podcast. Have you on as well? Have 3.
Yeah, we could do like a triple collab, and that would be cool.
Co-host with me.
Yeah, anytime, Matt. Anytime. That'd be awesome. But nah, those shirts cool. Big fan.
And who's your mate's shirt on?
Yeah, this is Michaela Bowen's Boxers t-shirt. So here you go, both. It's something that she started, I think over 2020, 2021 pre-season, and then released them a couple of weeks ago. So big for her. I'm pretty sure she's sold out of almost everything. So that's really big coops on that.
Does she have any XLs left?
I don't know. You have to hit her up, Bose, if you do.
Yeah.
And obviously like absolutely amazing. Well, she's not really a kid, but Bose is one of the best people I've ever met. Like most genuine.
Turned 19.
Yeah, and I think she's turning 20 this year, maybe. But young kid who's just obviously having an amazing start to her career. And then just what she's doing off the field. So I think the purpose behind Boxes is just trying to start the conversation of thinking outside the box in terms of like mental health and stuff like that. So, which is obviously a really powerful message in itself. And, when she was releasing them, I was like, more than happy to get behind a friend to support that sort of industry. So, yeah, good work.
So is she releasing like the new drops? So she releasing through?
She initially did just like a big drop and then whatever people bought, she had it all like, pre-ordered or whatever, and then she just dished it out, and whatever sold out, sold out. But I think now that she's had a good first release, I'm hoping that she releases more for her business. So maybe you have to get Bose on.
And you have to listen to. You did a podcast with her as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. Yep, she's been on the Buzz with Bea. Amazing story as well. Her family is a massive part of her life. So I think that's my favorite thing about doing my podcast. Getting especially some of my teammates on, and just hearing a little bit more about what they've been through. Obviously, I know, but then, even there's sometimes stuff that I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just letting them share that. I think, you probably agree that's probably the best part about being on a podcast, getting to talk to people and expressing their stories. And then from an S&C point of view, having different people on to express different opinions is super cool. There's another learning platform for people if they want it. So it's fun.
I don't know about you, but I always feel way more motivated coming out of a podcast. Feel like I should go work out or do something better. Yeah, I do something that's going to make my life more like be better in my life.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, hopefully feel invigorated now to do the same thing. But I totally understand where you're coming from because people have been through some pretty crap times and they've fought through it and kept tinkering away. Maybe they've changed what they wanted to do. Whereas I think that's probably kind of where I'm at now. I'm like, okay, maybe footy. Not done, but I think my perspective on that's kind of changing, but that in no way doesn't mean I haven't achieved what I wanted to achieve or, haven't still done a lot. But I think now I'm like, okay, there's more things to do in life. So hopefully, keep moving along. Maybe I'll just be a podcaster. We can just do a podcast together.
Yeah. Just keep going.
No more of this coaching stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting. So do you feel, because obviously now you've been released from West Coast. They didn't offer you another contract. Do you feel like you just want to get back to playing about Subiaco again, or you kind of just want to get your body right and maybe a year or so down the track once your body's...
Yeah, so the week I found out was actually then I did that weekend.
Oh,
So I was really like just obviously
Fuck, that would've been
upset and
shit.
angry. And I was like, because basically the reason that I got delisted was because it didn't get out in the park this year. And I was like, yeah, well, that was kind of out of my control.
Oh,
but,
that's not an uncommon thing because we've had a
I
few
know.
guys come down from,
Yep.
and it's like they said we haven't been out of the park. It's like, well, you fucking told me to have surgery.
Yeah.
I can't play if I've been
Yep.
injured.
I mean, yeah, like take responsibility for some things. So the reason I was injured was not my fault. Like the reason I didn't get back out there was not because I wasn't working. Like, I worked my absolute bum off, and you can ask anybody, and they will say the same thing. And there was a particular person that then probably stuffed me up. That is why I ended up being out for as long as I did. But that's happened. Yeah, I was upset for a little while, and I was like, cool, I just want to go play for Subi. Like I love playing at Subiaco. It was the best thing I ever did moving there. So yeah, I was really looking forward to that. And then it hurt my foot. I was like, fuck's sake, like could my week get any worse? And then obviously they released it a couple of weeks later, and then everyone's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's okay. I've kind of like, it was kind of nice that they didn't tell everyone straight away, because it kind of gave me the chance to deal with it before everyone else kind of knew. Which still not nice, people finding out. And like, as I mentioned before, was a little bit like, oh my God, this person's going to be disappointed or like whatever. So it was good that I kind of had like probably 3 weeks to emotionally like cry about it, which I did a lot, and then just be a little bit angry about it, which is a pretty normal response, and then be like, okay, like, I don't want footy to define me. And as much as I wanted to play AFL for obviously a lot longer, and I still don't really know what that kind of looks like, but yeah, I was like, okay, cool, well, shit happens.
Yeah, take it one step at a time type of thing.
Yeah, so I think for me now, we sort this out. Obviously, I've been in this boot for 3 weeks, and I'll be in it for another 3, assuming that fracture's healed. And then, I don't know, if Subi are happy for me to be S&C and play again next year, then I'll probably do that, because I just want to go back to loving footy. I probably haven't, like the last 8 months, so I probably haven't really loved it. It's been injured and then been a little bit frustrated and all that sort of stuff. So it'd be good to get back and play and just enjoy it, which is what I had been doing the last 4 weeks prior to this happening. Like just been back at Subi, kind of back on my own terms, because I'd said to before I've been delisted, said to Eagles, look, I need to sort my hamstring out, so I'm going to go get the help that I think I need, which I got. Helped, felt really good. So it's probably the best my leg had felt in a long time. And I was just having fun playing at Subi again. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do once this is healed, assuming that's okay with them. And then who knows what will happen.
Yeah.
But I think now trying to, be more in that coaching space, like I'm a bit more now, like I don't want, like I mentioned before, I don't want what happened to me to happen to anyone else. So, coach more people, get more involved and build my craft that way, and try and maybe shift my focus a little bit away. Still play, but, what level that's at, if that's AFL or not, haven't fully decided, but maybe shift away from that and then really focus in on being a good strength and conditioning coach or further developing in that area. So,
do you want to stay kind of in the team, or do you want to go more private? Do you see yourself?
I think I like being involved in team, but obviously at Ludus we're private. But I think I do really enjoy being in that team environment, or even if it was at like a small group kind of setting. I think that's kind of where I want to go. Obviously, in an ideal world, I'd love to be the head S&C for a team at some sort of level, a pretty high level. Again, also wouldn't want to pigeonhole myself into footy, but I think obviously that's something I know a lot about, so it'd be easier to interpret that information. But I think I'm quite lucky to the fact that like I've got to work with a lot of good people as an athlete to then translate that across into other people, which I think hopefully is something that can set me apart from other strength and conditioning coaches out there, because obviously there's a few bouncing around. So.
There's a few.
Yeah.
If you were to pick any 4 people to have dinner with, who would you choose? Any 4?
Could be anyone.
Anyone. Your choice.
Oh, Nat 5. He's my favourite footballer, so he'd be cool. Yep, big Freo fan, so Fifey. Soph Nymphus probably, because she's just super cool. I would learn so much because she's amazing. That's 2. That's hard.
The first couple are kind of easier than the last 2, they're running out.
Well, there's lots of people, like, I don't know, it depends what we'd want to talk about.
It's a dinner. So you think about a dinner conversation, probably got a couple of hours, 2 hours. Someone fun, someone a bit fun, comedian maybe.
Nah,
No.
not big on that sort of stuff. I'd love to meet Anna Mears.
Yep.
She's amazing. So probably her. So you can see very female role model bias. And probably Elise Perry as well. She's my favourite favorite athlete, I think, because she's super cool. Again, her book is really amazing as well, and she's someone that I've always looked up to since I was a little kid. So I've met her once when she had her book released. I went to her book signing. We had a little chat, and I was just like, I was like 21 at the time as well, but I was like starstruck. I was like shaking, and I was like, oh my god, it's Elise Perry. And I was like, this is so cool. And like to see how far female cricket's come, I'm like, I hope that can happen to female footy. And I remember saying to her, I was like, is it cool knowing that you've kind of pioneered like all of this? And she's like, looking back, she's like, yeah, it's pretty special to know. Like little kids look up to you, and she has an opportunity to kind of change the way the game is from, when she started playing cricket, nobody really watched female cricket. And now, to last year, that grand final, there's like 90,000 people at the MCG, the T20 final. Like, that's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Women's cricket and even women's soccer too, they're pretty big.
Yeah.
Like,
obviously,
really
having Sam Kerr around in Australia helps with that. She's an amazing athlete as well. So
she's crazy. Number one ticket holder at East Fremantle Football Club.
Is she? Oh, actually, I did see that. She's the number one ticket holder for a few teams, isn't she?
She's pretty clued on too, like in terms of businesses and that sort of stuff. She's actually quite a smart mind.
Well, she made a fair bit. Like, I know her Nike deal. She obviously did really well there. I think she's only
done pretty well for herself.
Second compared to Ronaldo. Like,
she's 20.
they're almost like 25. Maybe. Yeah. So she's got world at her feet. Hey,
crazy.
Oh, so good.
Next time she's down and she should come down to East Fremantle as well. Cool podcast.
Yeah, you can be like, look, I work for East Fremantle, so you should come on my show.
Which is currently still in Europe. Is that what
I think so. Yeah, she was just playing for Chelsea, I'm pretty sure. So pretty cool.
So you got those 4.
I think so. But like there's so many people.
Have alternate? Who's your one alternate? There you go. You can have 5.
Oh, 5, okay.
One alternate.
There's someone I would really... Barack Obama. I reckon he'd be pretty cool.
There you go. Someone out.
So I'd probably sub him out maybe for 5-y.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Sorry.
See you later, 5-y.
But I think Barack Obama is so cool as well. Like obviously stuff he's done has had to deal
What did
with.
that accomplish? Yeah.
And then just ask his thoughts on things that happened after.
No. Yeah, that guy there. We won't go there.
No.
So many people have such an emotional bias. As soon as they hear anything to do with Donald Trump, they just go, "Oh, see, they have that reaction." Like,
it's funny, eh? We all
he has done some good. He did some good things, and then obviously did a lot of bad things. But,
Oh well.
People always feel like people always react emotionally to things, and don't really. That logic and doesn't seem to come through a lot.
But
of the times.
I think that's where we talk about this a lot at our works. We do like a mentorship that. Rider and elephant, like kind of brain, and then like your rider's supposed to steer it, but then obviously like I might have got this the wrong way around. Your emotions always drive everything, no matter what the circumstance is, and I mean it's a good and bad thing. I've personally experienced the good and then the bad when your emotions drive everything. So,
well, that's similar thing to the chimp paradox.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to talk about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that it? Was that the one?
Similar. Well, I think they're similar, but that's what I was referring to.
Yeah, with a similar premise. Yeah, you got the monkey brain that rides the emotion.
Yep.
And you're just reacting.
And your logical brain is like, fuck you.
I feel like that's the one thing that's kind of, as a society, is holding us back. Our ability to filter emotions. But obviously that was the one thing that kind of made us evolve.
Yeah.
About like being able to connect with human society and community.
Animals have emotions. I don't know. I think dogs do. I mean, obviously they get all excited, but like obviously don't use it like we do. So
dogs just want food. I reckon that's what it is. I just come down to food, I reckon.
Nah, Sheba just wants cuddles all day. Like she got left outside. So dogs obviously supposed to be out. She lives inside, basically, my dog. And like she was outside for like 2 hours the other day. I came home and like she wouldn't leave me alone. It was like she'd been left alone for a week.
Oh God. Dogs are funny.
I love her. She's best thing. I got her like probably 8 months post ACL. Well, she's our family dog, but like so good. Good like little stress relief. Like long day, come home and she's always happy to see me. So it's like, ooh.
Do you take care of your dog more than or better than you would look after yourself?
Probably. Most people probably say I don't like, I obviously look after myself in terms of health and well-being, but probably from like that mental side of things, probably not. But I definitely like something's wrong with Sheba.
Yeah.
First there, like cuddles, whatever.
Yeah.
So
The trip to the vet, you wouldn't miss her, you wouldn't forget to take her
like
medicine or anything like that.
She like
feed it every time.
Went to the toilet once and looked a bit wrong, and I was like, "Oh my god, Mum! Like Sheba did this. Like, what should?" And Mum's like, "Just chill."
Why do you think that is?
I just like my little baby, I suppose. So, like, hopefully one day down the line, have my own kids and stuff like that. I'm assuming that'd be the same. Like, you kind of park yourself, which a lot of people probably say I do too much of. Like, oh no, I'll look after everyone else first. But yeah, that's probably why. Because she's my little fur baby, and would hate if anything happened to her. So
it's crazy.
I remember one time I was going for a run with a mate and brought Sheba, and she had her dog, and Sheba just like bolted across the road, and I was like, "Oh no!" My heart like sank.
Heart in your mouth stuff.
Yeah, like it was a quiet ass road. There was no cars or anything, and there was just this little kid walking, and she just wanted to play the little kid, and I was like, "Sheba!" And then I chained her up for like the next half an hour because I was like, "Oh, have you doing that again?" And I was like, I think I had my watch on. I didn't ever look at it, but I reckon it would have gone up to like 200%, like 200%, 200 beats per minute. Like, I was so worried. I was like, something happened to my dog, like.
Yeah, that'd be.
Who cares about my foot? Like,
exactly. I think a lot of it is because they're so like they're not self-conscious. They're not really self-aware. So like an innocence,
and they're just always happy. Just everything. They just love you. So it's like
very rarely they get sad as long as you play fetch.
Yeah, fetch, feed, cuddles, happy days.
I never used to be like an animal lover or dog lover. Not until I met. Until I got a bit older, maybe.
I've always been a dog. We've always had dogs growing up. So
yeah, I was never really like an animal guy. Until maybe when I was about a little bit older, I kind of a bit more emotional.
Yeah.
I think that maybe having a little dog, like a little puppy, kind of increased the capacity to love something a bit more.
Yeah.
I think I loved anything more, but maybe increased the capacity.
Yeah, to do so.
Interesting.
Probably.
I got last question before we finish off the podcast. It's from my Uncle Frank.
Oh.
And he is a number one listener on the podcast.
Good.
Him and my mum. Number one listeners.
I have heard, I think your mum's asked a couple of questions a few times too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to know if money wasn't an object and nothing was impossible, what would you do?
Money wasn't. Train all the time. What would I
Nothing
do?
wrong with that. That'd be my answer as well.
Money. Probably, like if we didn't need money, probably set up my own gym somewhere down south, like Margaret River kind of area, have a big farm, not farm, like a big like oval or something that I can go run around on and just be able to train all the time. And
would you train to do something or just train because you love to run and lift weights and stuff?
In an ideal world where like things don't happen. Yeah, like just train because it's
nothing
fun.
was impossible, mate.
Yeah, just play, train, do whatever. Have Sheba and run around. Just be able to run.
Live free.
Yep.
Essentially.
That would be
awesome.
Ideal. Obviously, that's probably not very practical, but we're not asking the question for a practical answer.
No, exactly.
So there you go, Frank.
Uncle Frank.
Uncle Frank.
There you go. It was disappointing because last week we didn't have a show.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're back.
There you go.
There we go. Bea Devlyn, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Problem,
Hope everything sorts out with your foot and get back to being in a good space and enjoy lifting weights and enjoy running again. Hopefully see you out next season in WAFLW.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me on.
No worries, it's a pleasure.